Hello and welcome to...
Skip him up!
That's right, we lost the rights to ProtoBalls talk.
It's a long and arduous legal process, but welcome to our new show, ProtoBalls talk podcast,
starring VeeJay and nobody else.
And
You're both fired.
Damn.
Let's see.
Yep, unfortunately we had to get a license from a new company, and that's why that's why we're in the situation we are. But we are allowed to reference all the other podcasts that we've done.
Right, we just have to...
Except the last one.
The last
So to recap, we had a podcast, but it was only one person, and yeah, so that's how we get. That's how we do.
Yes. There was I don't know what you're talking about. There wasn't 3 other people. Or 4 other, or 5 others. Nobody else exists. Just the one.
I've been talking to myself this entire time.
Exactly. So, yeah, okay, alright. So, today we're talking about fucking Evil Dead 2. That's
the sequel to the popular ZX Spectrum game, The Evil Dead.
It's alright.
That's how this works, right?
Yeah, it's
sure.
It's alright.
That's what happened, right?
It's an alright game. It's not
Cauldron.
great. I wouldn't even venture to call it good, but you know. Whoa! What the fuck?
Now we're gonna get copyright struck. And
Yeah.
shut down.
Way go.
Way to go. God damn it, MLB. Fucking telling me all the updates.
Jesus Christ.
So Evil Dead 2. Yeah. Sam Raimi's sequel to his 1982 movie. Came out in 1987. And it's my favorite out of the series. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. I like it. It's pretty good. 5 stars.
I don't get it.
All right, that's podcast. We did it. Good job.
That's the new format, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Did it.
See what happens when you can't get the rights to your original product?
You don't have the rights.
Stars.
You no longer have the rights to use any of the words you've previously used on prior podcasts.
Funk.
It was the only one we hadn't used.
The only one.
All right, so let's get into it.
So,
Evil Dead 2.
So Evil Dead 2. So the whole joke that we've been talking about is that Sam Raimi made Evil Dead 2 because he was desperate for money, essentially.
Well, he was given the opportunity to make another movie after Evil Dead, and it failed so hard that they had to pivot back to Evil Dead.
Yeah. Basically, I need to save my career. Quick, Evil Dead, come back to me. And so we got Bruce Campbell back, and he got it co-written with Scott Spiegel, who was in Within the Woods, who was Scotty in that movie.
Oh.
And
Scotty or not Scotty?
Good question. Scotty or not Scotty?
Anyways.
And the important thing is that this wasn't distributed by New Line Cinema. This was actually distributed by Rosebud Releasing Corporation. Mm-hmm. And
so, as a result, this movie basically starts with a remake of the first film. Minus Scotty and Shelly and Cheryl.
Yeah, all it has is Linda. It's only got Linda.
Linda and Ash.
And it's interesting because Bruce and Sam have talked about this ad nauseum forever. They couldn't get the rights to their own fucking movie for whatever reason. The entertainment business is crazy, I'm telling you. And so they essentially made Evil Dead 2 a requel, as they call it, a sequel
plus reboot,
a remake sequel. So the first 5 minutes of the movie are sort of abridged.
More like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
I want to say.
First 10 minutes or so of the movie. Right before the scene where if you've seen the first movie, it's very clearly supposed to be, okay, this is part 2. This is the actual sequel. But the first like 10, 15 minutes are basically an abridged version of the first movie. Very quickly.
To basically recap, Ash and Linda go to a cabin in the woods. They find the Necronomicon and hear a guy reading out of it. Linda gets possessed by a demon. Ash decapitates her with a shovel. Stuff happens.
Yeah. And so for the next, 20 minutes, it becomes just the Bruce Campbell show.
The Bruce Campbell
show.
I would watch that show.
Dude, I would love a show like that. Actually, no, you just have to watch Burton Notice.
I actually do think
I did watch Burn Notice.
I actually do think I prefer this version of the events, the fight with Linda compared to the original movie.
Right. It does.
Like in the original movie, there's an emotional weight to it, but here it's slapstick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Evil Dead 2 is not a full horror movie. It's got spooky moments. It's a very spooky movie.
It's got the spooks.
It's got the spooks.
It's got the spooks and the kooks.
But it is...
Wait, is that a word we're allowed to say anymore? I can't remember if that's a slur or not. Oh, well.
Kooky? I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure that's still okay.
Okay.
Just don't start it with a G.
Yeah.
But Evil Dead 2 is a horror comedy film. It's very much played up as a Three Stooges.
Yeah, it definitely feels weird to watch this movie and see Bruce Campbell being Ash Williams more as we recognize him compared to Ash Williams in the first movie.
Right?
He feels like such a drastically different character.
Right.
In a good way.
Yeah. And narratively, that can be easily explained away. Because, so Ash fights Linda, chops her head off, and then buries her. And then the famous ending of Evil Dead 1 happens, where it comes to the house, and the demon gets Ash and throws him into a fucking tree.
Admittedly, we are kind of glossing over some really fun bits between this, because, let's see, Linda's decapitated corpse decides to get up and perform a stage show.
Well, this is afterwards.
This is afterwards.
Yep, this takes place afterwards. Because if you recall, last shot of the first movie, you've got the camera running through the house and hitting Bruce. Then, Bruce gets hit. Now he's flung up into the air, and they do this cool shot where he's spinning around while there's the forest background just flying through it. He ends up hitting a tree, landing in a puddle, and then he kind of just sits there for a while.
They had him...
But no. He gets up, and he's evil Ash now. He's possessed.
He's possessed Ash. Ash gets possessed.
But it's daylight, so he immediately,
reverts
back to normal.
Yeah, so here's the thing about the Evil Dead.
No, we're talking about Evil Dead, not The Thing. We already did The Thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
come on.
yeah, right.
Get it
Keep
together.
up, man.
I mean, no, we didn't. We never can't reference previous episodes.
Oh, right. No, we didn't.
But the properties of the Evil Dead, as it were, kind of changes from movie to movie. So, in this movie, it's sunlight. Sunlight makes it vulnerable, as it were. Although, I don't know how well that sticks in later.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned in the last episode, the rules involving the Deadites, as they're called, they're very inconsistent, and that seems to be intentionally so.
Mm-hmm. But, Ash gets... And there's a great behind-the-scenes, clip of them having Ash in the water. And they got him down there for 30 seconds or so. They're like...
It's an extended period where he's just face down in this puddle, and occasionally spurts of bubbles pop up.
Bruce is trying his hardest to stay down there. as best he can. And this is like a sizable puddle in the middle of the fucking woods. Mm-hmm. But Ash eventually, he's passed out, and he's actually, he's unconscious for most of the day until he finally wakes up, and it's already like late evening.
Yeah, at this point, he's not face down in the puddle. He's just kind of like exhausted from the last 24 hours, I assume, is the length of time.
Yeah.
So he's like asleep outside.
Meanwhile, at an airport.
Yeah, we get introduced to some of our other principal characters. God, and
We get the daughter of the professor who made the recording.
Annie Nobi and Professor Ed Getley.
I assume her boyfriend, because otherwise, why?
Otherwise, why are they kissing?
Right?
Or is that just a formal greeting between professors?
This isn't like a Luke Skywalker Leia situation, is it?
That'd be very interesting if kissing was just a normal greeting between professors, though. Maybe I should become.
It's a professor thing. Got it.
Professor. It's good to see you.
It's been ages.
It's been ages. Come here, give me a kiss.
No, more tongue.
Show me how much you've missed me.
But anyway, Annie has more pages of the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, which is what this is called now.
It begs the question, where the fuck did she find them?
In the ruins that they found the Necronomicon.
Okay, but why were they separated from the book?
Well, I mean, if I was the kind of person who didn't want somebody to be using this book for evil, I'd probably scatter the pages myself.
Alternatively, if I were one of the people who wanted people to be using the book for evil, I'd tear out the part that could
the part that
me.
dispels it. Yes, no, that's a good viewpoint too.
I guess.
Who knows? It's not explained. It's just a plot contrivance.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Which is fine, because it only gives us more Ash by himself. So Ash... So Ash wakes up, right? And he's like... There's a great, what's the word? 360 camera turn.
Oh, yes. When he gets up and the camera is positioned above him, pointed down at him.
Yes.
And as he wakes up, it swivels as it ascends.
Right.
Into the air.
And then Ash is just looking around, and the camera does a 360 turn. And there's no sound. There is nothing happening.
It's this nice, slow 360 turn, panning away from Ash, going all the way around back to Ash.
And Ash is just like, oh, fuck, I gotta get out of here.
So he hops in the car and heads on the path that he got to there. Unfortunately, the bridge is out in a horrifically mangled sort of way.
Right. And if you've seen the first movie, it's like, Ash, didn't you know the bridge was out? I actually think Ash forgot that the bridge was out, and he was in such a hurry to just get the fuck out. He just totally forgot.
I think it's just more a case of, hey, we didn't actually have a chance narratively to show you that the bridge was out because that scene wasn't in this abridged version, so we had to insert it here somewhere.
Right, but you could
actually make it clear what's happening other than this bridge is blocked, which... It's not really clear of what's going on with the bridge in the first movie, to be honest, because it's so dark out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think the bridge got knocked down in the first movie.
Yeah, it's more like it got ripped apart, or there was a tension problem, and it just snapped.
And it just snapped apart.
Whereas this one, the girders for the bridge have been bent upwards somehow.
Oh, it was the same thing in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It has a more striking silhouette when there's actually a silhouette.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because it's in the middle of the day.
Yep, it's in daylight, and in the first movie it's at night, and you're only seeing it through the headlights of the car.
Yeah, but narratively speaking, you could easily reason that Ash just plain forgot. Because he's just in such a hurry to get the hell out of there. If you're looking at it from the first movie happened, and then this happened immediately after. Narratively speaking.
I think they just had to make it a shock to him, because if anybody's first coming to this movie, they'd be very confused as to why he would know that the bridge is out.
Exactly.
So that's why we have that little weird inconsistency.
And there's another great spot where Ash turns his head and he sees the sun just coming down really fast, like superimposed sun coming down. And he's like, ah, fuck.
Ah, crap! It's night again. I was asleep all day.
And then I don't know how they did it exactly. I'm assuming they had like a rope and pulley system where they had the camera, which is the thing, the Evil Dead, and it's coming up the cliff.
Oh yes,
coming up the cliff, and then it crosses the cliff over and starts chasing Ash, and Ash immediately is like, oh fuck!
So what they did with that scene was they hired a team of 20 helicopters to dangle this one camera by the rope, and they all lifted up at the... No, that's stupid.
Yeah, that's dumb.
The logistics of that are impossible. Even just imagining it. How would they avoid crashing into each other?
They were elite pilots. It was the most expensive shot in the movie.
It doesn't look it.
Well, they had to use the cheapest camera in case it fell.
Sam Raimi was like, here, use my camera from like 10 years ago.
Here's my Nokia from the future. Use this.
Oh, okay.
It'll only be $1,500.
No further in the future when it's not worth that much.
Oh, when it's just $200.
Oh, yeah.
Not even that. I think Nokia cameras are what, like $120.
I don't know.
But yeah, so the chase begins again, and it's a great scene where it's the camera chasing the car. Mm-hmm. The Duke, is that what they call? No,
yeah,
not the.
I'm sure they call it the Duke.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they call it like the Duke anywhere in the 3 films, but I think in Ash vs. the Evil Dead, that's what they call it.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it in a while, so I could be wrong. But...
Right, Sam Raimi's car. It's still Sam Raimi's car, and I can't. You have to wonder how many times he had to get that thing repaired. He's like, ah, my God!
Oh, Jesus.
That's a Street Fighter 2 reference.
Yes, I understood that
I'm
reference.
saying it to the audience in case they didn't know.
Pretty sure that's a Final Fight reference.
It might be.
I've played plenty of Street Fighter 2. I don't. Pretty sure that's Final Fight.
Maybe. I don't know.
Unless it's like Street Fighter 1 or something.
It's like the arcade game.
Well, yeah, I've played the arcade game.
Yeah.
I own an arcade.
But yeah, it's a great scene because the camera's chasing the car, and Ash is driving the car, and then he accidentally hits a stump, and his body goes flying through the windshield.
Woo!
And it's a wonder he's not dead. And what they did for that scene was they built like a cast of Bruce Campbell for that scene, and then they had him just pulled through the windshield through a wire. And I can't remember if they had like hammers to break the window or not. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we watched a little making of featurette when we finished the movie, and yeah, that was interesting. And definitely worth watching.
And
unfortunately, that doesn't stop the Evil Dead, which keeps pursuing him through the rear windshield
of
the car.
It breaks the rear windshield and goes through the front, which is an incredible, camera work, incredible camera trick.
And keeps chasing Ash through the cabin. At one point, Ash tries to close the front door only to realize that there's only half of it still there. So he's like, ah, shit!
He's like, oh God!
Oh, yes, this is that wonderful shot where they run through the entire cabin.
Yeah! And this time, it's an actual stage set. It's not the original cabin.
Yeah, if you're paying attention, you can see the.
Well, they have the original cabin, but they don't film the interior shots in the cabin.
Right. They use the exterior shots for the cabin, but for the inside they built this stage.
Soundstage.
This soundstage inside like a high school or something.
Mm-hmm. High school gym.
A high school gym. And
if you're paying close enough attention during
you don't even need to be paying close enough attention. You just have to look at the ceiling. Or lack thereof.
Yeah, there's no ceiling on this shot. But it's a great scene because Ash is running all around the house and the camera's chasing him. And eventually he slips out back into the main room and disappears, and the camera's like...
The camera does this panning shot of like, where'd he go? Oh, well, guess I'll retreat, and then it pulls itself backwards.
And come to find out, Ash was hidden
in the basement.
He threw himself into the trapdoor, with this wonderful shot of just, like, the tip of his head coming up, and only one eyeball, and he's just like,
And then I believe we get another cut of the couple
who are on their way to the cabin, only to find out that the bridge is out, and so they end up meeting another couple.
They end up meeting a couple of local yokels, Jake and Bobby Joe, as the. And they're some of my favorite characters in the movie. They're so dumb.
Yeah, that's good character work. I love it.
And so, they're like, nope, you're not going to be able to make it through. And there's this, like, tense moment where it looks like they're about to have, like, an argument. And then Jake diffuses the situation and he's like, hey, wait a minute. I know a trail to get to that cabin. If you pay us, we'll take you.
40 bucks.
40. Sorry, 100. Because he gets elbowed.
All right, but you gotta carry my bags.
Right, and he looks in the back seat and he only sees like the one bag, and he's like,
it's like
sure.
It's like the handbag and the pages of the Necronomicon that are sitting in the back seat.
Unbeknownst to him, at the airport, their car or whatever got loaded with a huge trunk.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is clearly too big to actually fit in anybody's actual, rear trunk.
Right. So back at the camp,
comically large.
Yeah, it's a comically large trunk.
So of course, when we get back to them, he's having to lug that around on his back.
Yes, exactly. It's a great scene where they're walking through the woods, and he's like, "God damn it! I thought it was only the one goddamn bag." And he's stumbling around, falling over, even. God damn it! But back at the cabin. It's now Ash and quiet time. He's like, I gotta stay here until the next morning so I can find a way to get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, he's exploring the cabin a little bit. He's already barricaded the whole house up. Mm-hmm. It looks like in his like in the 10-20 minutes.
And I believe this is the point where Linda comes back. Because isn't there like a lightning storm or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Just a quick flash lightning storm.
Well, yeah, he hears the
or something.
He hears the piano playing, and he goes to investigate it, and the piano's playing by himself. And he sees the necklace from the first movie that's also in this movie, that cheap fucking necklace that looks like shit.
And once again, it's laying there on the floor in the shape like in the shape of a skull. Like the
necklace,
the rope, the chain is kind of wrapped in the formation of a skull. And
he grabs it, and it looks like he's about to mourn it, but then he hears something. He runs over to the window and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" And that's when Linda comes back
and gives him a decapitated strip show, basically.
And it's a very wonderful claymation, stop motion claymation, I believe.
Playing with her head.
Definitely stop motion.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a wonderful scene, and then she attacks him because she fucking teleports out of nowhere, and she's like, "Hello there, lover," and and it's a great transition because Ash is being attacked, and then her head falls off, and Ash starts screaming, and then he realizes, "Oh, I'm still in the chair that I was sitting in before I went over to check the window." And he's like, "Am I hallucinating? What the fuck is going on?" This is at the point in the movie where it's unclear if Ash is hallucinating or if the Evil Dead is actively fucking with him.
Or both.
Because Ash is by himself. He's already intensely traumatized, especially from the first movie. Mm-hmm. And so, like, there's a lot of interpretation to how people view the movie.
Now, is this before or after the mirror scene?
This is before.
Okay.
Yep. This is before, because he hadn't killed Linda yet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he hasn't.
Because Linda's, because he's like,
I mean, he's killed Linda, but she's not quite dead yet.
Yes. And he's sitting in the chair, and he's just like, he starts laughing to himself, because he's like, am I just losing my mind? What the fuck is going on? And then Linda's head fucking pops out of nowhere, and he's like...
falls from seemingly the ceiling.
Yeah, it just falls
right
from
to his lap.
and bites his hand, and it's a great fucking slapstick where he's...
where he's trying to hit he's slamming the head against, like, the walls and the door frames, trying to get...
grabs a book.
Yeah, he's just beating up this prosthetic head.
It's such a great visual. And he eventually goes outside, and he's going down the steps, and this had to have been a blooper that they left in, because he's going down the steps, and he accidentally, like, missteps, and hits one of the trash cans that's lying next to the
He just kind of flips over it.
and he just flips over, and he goes...
It's either very, like... genius level, like physical comedy, or like it actually happened and they just rolled with it.
Yeah.
Probably a little from column A and column B.
Yeah, probably. So he goes into the work shed, which was in the first movie,
and clamps the head down into a vice.
and he's like, "All right, bitch, you're going down." And he goes to grab the chainsaw, and it's like,
It's gone.
Where's the
It's not there. There's just an outline.
Chalk outline of a chainsaw where a chainsaw should be.
He's like, where the fuck's the chainsaw? And then Linda's
body comes in with the chainsaw revved.
and it's such an amazing scene. Like,
And it's so stupid too, because like if she had like, they would have had to have started the chainsaw as they were breaking through the door, and it's like, no, you would have heard that chainsaw coming a mile away if it was running like that.
It's such a great comedic scene, and if you're looking very closely, that chainsaw does not have any chains. It's a full-on plastic chainsaw.
Yeah, I saw it bend a couple times, but so what?
And what they did was they had a puppeteer underneath on like a skateboard, right? And they would roll in, and he would just bob it up and down as it's coming in.
And then they had two other puppeteers like manipulating the arms and the chainsaw to keep it like.
And eventually, Ash grabs like a crowbar and fucking hits the chainsaw up. And there's sparks on that. Like they used a real chainsaw for that one, I think.
I doubt it. Oh God, no! That would have been super dangerous.
Well, without its, you know.
Oh, maybe without like the blades on it.
Yeah,
maybe.
without the blades on it, just a running chain.
Yeah.
And then it hits it, and it sparks, and it comes up and hits Linda's neck. And
it just starts bisecting the torso.
Right? And it's funny, because then the puppet, they have it turned around, and it's like, come on! I'm trying to lunge at Ash, and Ash is like, oh God! Oh no! It's such a good scene. And eventually it falls over.
And Ash grabs a chainsaw and uses it on the head that's been cackling this entire time.
Yeah. And then there's the one fake out where it's like, Ash, no! Don't kill me, please! And he's like, God damn it, fuck. The one moment of conflict for him until it's the bait and switch where it's like, I'm alright, I'm okay.
You're ahead,
bro.
It's just a flesh wound.
And if you're actually looking very carefully, too, there's actually Freddy Krueger's glove above the door.
Which was part of a back and forth between Sam Raimi and Wes Craven. Right. It started with the first movie and the poster of The Hills Have Eyes in the basement, which is then followed up by A Nightmare on Elm Street, which has The Evil Dead playing on a TV in a scene where a character is trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
And clearly not winning, because this movie's scarier than The Evil Dead. It's what the implication is.
Right.
And so Freddy's glove just being...
See, I don't know about that. I'd say Evil Dead is scarier than Nightmare. That was Nightmare 1, right?
I'm not sure if this was the intent, but the fact that the character was not able to stay asleep while watching The Evil Dead.
To be fair, they may have watched The Last House on the Left and that desensitized them.
I don't get it.
It's a it's a bad movie. It's very uncomfortable.
It's fine. I've watched it. It's fine.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, but like that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so then it continues on here with Freddy's glove just hanging on the wall above the shed door.
Just being there, and it might have also been like a slight jab at New Line Cinema.
Maybe.
Because New Line Cinema wouldn't give them the rights to their own fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, well, fuck you then.
Oh.
But, yeah, so... Yeah, Ash finally kills Linda fully. Just chops her apart. And it's a great visual because blood's splattering everywhere. And it's much like in the first movie where a light bulb gets filled with blood.
Well, in this case, it's not filled with blood. It just gets covered in blood.
It gets covered in blood.
But yeah,
it's a similar visual.
You get the nice red room effect.
And so Ash finally goes back into the cabin, and he drops the chainsaw down in the kitchen. And he's just like, all right, well, fuck today. Goes over to the mirror, and he's just like, all right, we're okay. Everything's fine. Everything's just fine.
No, it's not. We just killed our girlfriend.
the fake Shemp comes through the mirror, and it's a great.
Well, it's not the fake Shemp. It's the other way around. It's Bruce Campbell that comes through the mirror,
right?
Because the camera is behind
Bruce Campbell.
Yes,
yes, right.
It's a well done effect to mimic a mirror.
Exactly.
And then they do the whole like split camera shot where you've got Bruce Campbell on one side facing Bruce Campbell on the other side.
I thought that was Ted Raimi.
I don't think that's Ted Raimi.
No,
I think that's a split shot.
I'm pretty confident that since both people's faces had to be on camera.
Well, it's because
I think it's a splice shot.
Okay, because I was gonna say because Bruce Campbell's eyebrows on one of them is thicker than the other.
Yeah, but I think that was just the whole evil Ash look they were going for to try and
maybe
mirror Ash.
Yeah, or it could just be a makeup inconsistency. I don't know.
I don't know. Still a great scene though, and a
great scene in a movie filled with a bunch of great scenes.
Yeah.
It's nothing but great scenes. That's just Evil Dead 2 in a nutshell.
That's the first. Yeah, that's like the first two movies in a nutshell.
And
I'd even argue the third one, maybe to a lesser extent, but yeah.
The third one's pretty good.
What third one?
Oh, that's true.
Anyway, then Ash wakes up because it turns out it was just a dream. Again.
Well, he wasn't dreaming. He was fully awake for that. It's more like he was likely hallucinating it because he started choking himself. The fake Ash that comes through the mirror, he's like, we just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine to you? And then wraps his hands around Ash's neck. And then the camera cuts to Ash that's looking into the mirror, and he's got his arms wrapped around himself. Like he's choking
himself, yeah.
And Ash is like, what the fuck? And there's a nice little touch where Ash looks away from the mirror for a moment and then does that quick, like looks back into the mirror very quickly and touches the mirror.
And it's not water this time.
And he's like, all right, okay, all right. I must have been hallucinating. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And then his hand starts acting up. And this is like the high point of the movie, in my opinion. It is Bruce Campbell's physical acting turned up to 11.
Oh yeah,
his hand is evil and trying to kill him.
You bastards! You took my hand. You took my hand.
Give me back my hand.
Hand's trying to strangle him.
Yeah, fucking God, Bruce Campbell is...
Right, because this is the hand that Linda bit.
Yeah.
Right. So it becomes infected.
It becomes infected with rot and possession and disease. It's filthy in there.
You don't know where that hand's been.
That's true.
Fair point.
That's when we get he's messing around with the hand, but that's when we get the little shot of the group coming through the woods down the trail and
still heading to the cabin. And Jake's fumbling around with the goddamn bag and everything in the trunk. Anyway, cut back to Ash's hand smashing plates over his head.
Dude, Bruce Campbell fucking brutalizes himself in this scene. He does a front flip.
He does a goddamn front flip.
Yep.
It's the physical acting of Bruce Campbell that makes this scene. It's all him. This is all his scene.
But the hand manages to knock Ash out, and then notices that there's a meat cleaver nearby.
Yeah, that's such a
It starts dragging Ash towards the meat cleaver.
It's funny because it's like the hand goes to grab like another plate. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna beat on him some more," and then it stops and like clinches up. It's like, and the camera,
as if it sees the meat cleaver.
yeah, as if it sees the meat cleaver, and it pans over the meat cleaver, and the hand's trying to reach for it, and eventually digs the nails into the ground and starts dragging Ash, which is just such a funny scene.
Yep.
And just as it's about to grab the meat cleaver, Ash stabs it with another knife.
Which begs the question: what the fuck was the hand going to do with the meat cleaver, possibly?
Well, who cares?
Yeah.
Not good things, I'm
Not
sure.
good things, I'm sure.
So to try and stem it off, Ash uses the chainsaw that's nearby to cut off his own hand.
Who's laughing now?
Just another iconic scene.
So Ash is handless now, and this.
No, he's not handless. He's got one.
Shut up.
He's down a hand, though.
He's down a hand.
I think this is the moment where we get Ash from the rest of the series.
Unfortunately, the hand does manage to get away from the
Yeah, it's
the
fun.
knife.
It's funny because Ash chops the hand off with the chainsaw, right? Mm-hmm. And then he wraps up his own hand, and the stump essentially, and he puts the hand, the possessed hand in a can
under a trash can and puts a bunch of books under it. The top of which is, of course, Farewell to Arms, because cliche.
because Sam Raimi loves visual humor.
Of course, now it's a cliche.
Now it's a cliche, of course.
It's like saying Ben Drowned is full of cliches. It's like, yeah, it is, because it used them first.
Yep.
Yeah. It popularized creepypasta.
Yeah.
Well, video game ones at least.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Ash is fixing his stump. He's got it wrapped up. Like it's not gonna bleed or anything. But like you can tell he's lost.
He finds a shotgun and some shells to go with it.
Yep, that too. And then in the background, as he's fixing up his stump, the trash can starts moving in the background, and then it tips over. And he hears it tip over, and he's like, "Oh fuck! Oh no!" And it begins like a great cat and mouse scene where Ash is.
It crawls over to like a mouse hole and flips Ash off.
Right? Son of a bitch. He gets caught in a mouse trap and Ash laughs at it and flips him off. And Ash, he's aiming very carefully. He's got to use his ears.
Because it's inside the wall now.
It's inside the walls now. And he finally hears it, takes the shot, and he thinks he's got it. He's like, "Yeah! You like that, didn't you, sucker?" And the wall starts bleeding, a little bit of blood. And then it starts bleeding more and more, and Ash's expression goes from a "ha, I got it" to a I don't like that.
That's a lot more blood than a hand should have.
That doesn't seem reasonable.
And then it's just a fucking geyser. A geyser of blood.
And not just from the one hole, from all of the holes. From every orifice of the cabin.
Just absolutely drenching him in blood.
And then it turns black and starts, like, going in reverse.
Uh-huh.
Pulling itself out, leaving Ash.
And Ash is just dumbfounded at this point. He's just lost his shit. And he goes to, and he's just like, "Fuck this, I need to sit down." And he goes to sit down and the chair collapses in on itself. And then the moose...
And then the deer head starts laughing at him.
Yeah, and then the deer head starts
The deer head
laughing.
over the fireplace.
And all the other furniture starts laughing too. And this is when Ash
loses it.
fully loses it. This He has suffered a blue screen of death.
Starts pumping his legs up
Probably
and
the
down.
third or fourth time.
Yeah.
Start pumping his legs up and down in rhythm with the bendy
But
lamp.
I get the feeling that like this is the defining moment of no return.
Yep.
This is Ash has fully lost it, and now he's in full survival Catalyst mode. He does not give a shit anymore. And
then somebody tries to open the door.
and he shoots at the door. But there's multiple interpretations for that scene. You know, is it the house? Is it the demons fucking with them, or is Ash hallucinating?
Well, he's certainly not hallucinating about the fact that somebody was trying to get in.
Yes. Yep.
Unfortunately, the group that have just arrived at the cabin are none too happy about being shot at by some maniac stranger in their dad's cabin.
In their parents' cabin. And Annie immediately thinks that Ash killed her.
Because there's blood.
Well, yeah, because she sees the cabin in complete and utter like shambles, and then over in the corner there's just a chainsaw with some blood on it, and a pool of blood underneath it. It's like, what would you expect?
Exactly.
What would you think?
And they beat the fuck out of Ash. They fucking knock his lights out, and they throw him into the basement and lock him in there, into the cellar. And he's trying desperately to be like, no, you got it wrong. Just listen to me. But he's so knocked out of it. It's just coming out like mumbles and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because they kick him into the cellar. Jake fully fucking kicks his chest, and he comes down the steps. And he's like knocking his head on the stairs and everything. And so now he's stuck there. But at least he's with people now. That's good.
Right? So then they start playing another part of the tape where the professor is basically explaining all the shit that he had to go through after reading the book, explaining that he had to kill his own wife and bury her in the cell. Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Well, the key point here is that he couldn't bring himself to dismember her.
Yeah.
So he just buried her in the cellar, where Ash is currently trapped.
And as we know, if you do that, they're just going to get up again.
And this is my favorite scene in the entire movie, honestly, because Henrietta, who is played by Ted Raimi, by the way.
Not that you would recognize him.
You would recognize him. That
I
poor,
mean, once you know it's Ted Raimi, it's like, oh yeah, no, now I recognize him.
that
You
poor,
can kind of see it, but...
that poor bastard. That poor bastard.
Starts climbing out of the dirt. Floor.
Her head pops out, and Bruce Campbell gives the scream of his life. It's probably the best scream of his entire career, because it's the kind of scream where like even like manly men would be like, "This is fucking terrifying! Help! Help!" And they're like, "What the fuck was that? There's something down there with him!" Like they didn't just hear the fucking tape.
And he's like desperately trying to push the cellar door open, which is still chained shut. It's
Right.
Like, get the goddamn chain off here and get me out of here!
And Henrietta is slowly shambling towards him. Is like, come to me, my pretty.
And it's just Ted Raimi wearing like a 300-pound like rubber
Fat
suit.
A fat suit in 100-degree weather.
It's like, fuck.
There's behind the scenes footage, and it sounds like it had to be absolute fucking hell in that suit. Because they would take the suit off, and it would just be gobs of sweat, like sweat pockets out the ass. I cannot.
Yep.
I could not imagine the hell being in there.
I can, because I watch Godzilla movies.
Oh, that's true. And they used heat lamps.
Yeah!
That shit sucks. Working in a costume fucking sucks, bro.
Now imagine having to trudge through a pool while wearing one.
But, yeah. So, Henrietta catches up to Ash. And just as it looks like it's about to be the killing blow, a pair of hands fucking reaches down and grabs Bruce Campbell by the head and just drags him up.
Because they managed to get the chain off the cellar door.
They managed to get the chain out the cellar door. Here comes the first group fight scene, and Henrietta's out of the cellar. It's just the head and the hands, and they're fighting it. They're trying to fucking claw it off. Get it back into the cellar,
and then Ash kicks the cellar door down.
Yeah, it kicks the cellar door down. Ed gets knocked out. He's thrown into a painting or everything, and Jake gets his face clawed at. And Ash is like, "Wait, I know what to do." Throws the cellar door down and fucking jumps on it, popping the eye out, which goes into Bobby Joe's mouth.
Another great effect.
Dude, Jake and Bobby Joe get fucking brutalized in this movie. They are the butt monkeys of this film. Even more than Ash. Figure that one out.
And they're still among the better off characters in this franchise.
Yep.
Characters from the first two films don't deserve any of the fates that they get.
No.
It's just complete happenstance. Where, some characters in some films, like fucking Friday the 13th Part 2, that fucking voyeur, that lecherous voyeur, he kind of gets what's coming to him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a fucking pervert and an asshole. But, they eventually Jake kicks Henrietta's face, which is another great visual. Just kicks it down, and then the door closes, and it's bouncing up and down because Henrietta's still trying to get out.
So Jake and Ash have to get on and
First Ash is standing on it.
Yes.
Because he popped the door shut, and then Jake's like, "Oh, shit." And then he jumps on, and it's basically like a repeat of the scene in the first movie when they
had to trap Cheryl down there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Ash and Jake, they both just sort of have this wide-eyed, they turn to look at one another, they're like, "Oh, fuck this, dude." And so the group is assembled.
And I think it's at this point that the other people in the cabin that aren't Ash, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, this guy probably is innocent and didn't do anything." Self-preservation.
Yep.
I think that's what we'll stop it for now.
Yeah, that's a really good halfway point too, because you get introduced to almost all of the elements of the film, and everybody's assembled together finally.
Yep.
So who's your favorite character? I mean, it's Ash, right?
Obviously.
Who's your favorite non-Ash character?
Who's your favorite not Jake?
It's Jake.
It's Jake. He's such a fucking doofus. He's seriously, he coincidentally he ends up driving the film for the most part because he's such an idiot. And it's less that he's an idiot, it's that he's selfish.
Yeah.
It's like, his girlfriend is also an idiot.
But to a much lesser degree.
She has no self-preservation skills whatsoever, whereas Jake does, but he's also very selfish.
Yes.
And kind of is willing to throw his self-preservation by the wayside in certain scenes.
But you can also tell that there's a genuine connection between him and Bobby Joe.
Yes. They do.
They do deeply care for one another.
Exactly. Yeah. They care about one another very much. And Annie's all right. She's a pretty flat character for the most part, but she's got the most common sense out of the non-Ash group.
Yeah, she kind of winds up feeling like the stereotypical final girl from a slasher movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she feels more like a MacGuffin than an actual character.
I have the item right here that'll help us solve all our answers.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
essentially. And Ed is just a non-character. He's a mook. He's a red shirt.
Yeah, he basically doesn't exist in this movie.
Except when he needs to.
Except for the one scene where he needs to.
Mm-hmm. Because he gets into two fights, one with Ash and one with Henrietta, and he beats Ash. He fucking holds Ash down while Jake fucking beats on him, and then in the Henrietta fight, he gets 3 punches in and immediately gets knocked out. He's a fucking red shirt.
Yeah, it's pretty bad considering how much shit Ash went through in the first movie as far as getting thrown into objects in the cabin. Yeah.
Yeah. The physical injuries are toned down way more in this movie.
I'm not sure why you're comparing it to the first movie. That didn't happen.
What?
Oh, that's true. No, that's true.
True.
We're not allowed to talk about it, remember?
even just about anything in this movie. I mean,
Right.
we started this movie with Ash getting thrown right into a tree,
Yeah,
followed by him getting launched out of a moving vehicle, speeding away from God knows what.
Yeah, exactly.
Into, I think, another tree.
Yeah, into a stump. He just lands headfirst into a stump, which Jake also has happened to him later in the movie. Which is, God, trees and injuries. What's going on with this movie?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be Within the Woods without the woods.
No, that's true. We can reference that movie at least.
Yeah, nobody owns that one.
That one's public.
Oh, and we are going to. We are going to so much.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. What's everyone's favorite scene?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, offhand, the dance scene.
The dance is really good.
The ballet with Linda's ballet.
No, Ash dancing with the lamp
Oh,
while he's
okay.
going
Oh
insane.
yes.
Like just that whole sequence.
The cabin scene where he's
Just
finally
like
lost it.
everything on screen is going fucking nuts.
You know what I just realized when you brought that up? There's that one moment where he's like just laughing with everything else that's going on in the cabin, and then he does this like turn, like it's the camera's faced his back or his shoulder, and he turns, looks directly into the camera, and is like, "I fucking see you. I know what's going on. I know everything. Nothing makes sense anymore."
And there's different interpretations of that scene, whether or not it's the Evil Dead fucking with Ash or Ash is hallucinating. I'm more on the side that this is Ash fully hallucinating everything.
It's just a
Yes,
played out.
It's a very well played out scene.
Choreographed scene.
Because as soon as the group arrives, everything
Goes back to normal.
Everything goes back to normal, which lends credence to the fact that he's probably hallucinating it.
Yeah, probably. Definitely not all the shit with the hand, but
No,
for sure not.
but basically from the moment he tries to sit down and the chair breaks, that's when it snaps.
That's when because it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. The last humiliation for him.
It's the Ash that broke the chair, that broke the Ash.
Yes. Did you have a?
Oh, I mean, that might be my favorite scene too.
The Henrietta scene is probably my favorite.
I mean, there's just so many good scenes. There's so many good scenes. I can't just pick one. Ash cutting off his hand, the whole scene with Linda in the shed.
Yep.
This movie's so good.
For me, the Henrietta scene is like the one actually proper scare in the movie. Just her popping out of the fucking cellar.
Oh, sure.
Head first. It's like, I think it's the one scene where like, oh yeah, this is a horror movie. That's right.
We almost forgot.
We were having such a good time.
Not Ash. He wasn't having a good time.
Dude, Ash is so miserable in this movie.
I mean, not that you would know it just from seeing him, because...
Yeah. Like, Ash also has like a scar on his chin. I don't know if you guys noticed or not. He has the scar on his chin from the first movie that doesn't happen yet.
I'm wondering if that's just Bruce Campbell having a scar. I'd have to look, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think he got that scar from the first movie.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Like what scene in particular would have...
I'm not sure. It could have been.
I mean, are you saying like the character got the scar, or Bruce Campbell himself?
Bruce Campbell himself got that scar,
Gotcha,
probably.
gotcha.
Like you do.
Like you do.
Yeah. I got a scar on my face here too.
It just it happened during filming, and they never brought it up.
Yeah, I just want to...
But at the same time, during the film, Bruce does have like scars, like cuts and stuff on his face.
And they actually maintain consistency from shot to shot compared to the first
this
movie.
one is much better has much better consistency because there's less bruising and scarring.
Yep, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, he's got the scar there.
Yep, he's got the scar there. But Yeah, it's only like a couple of cuts on his face, and that's all they need. There's no bruising or anything in the makeup for Bruce Campbell. It's just like the one cut here, the one over his eye, and then one on his cheek, and whatnot. A couple of cuts here and there. That's all they need.
No, I think there's like a cut across his lip.
Yeah, a cut across his lip as well.
Because I know that it like starts on his chin and ends near his nose.
Right. Hold on.
It also looks kind of tacked on, but it is at least consistently tacked on throughout the course of the movie.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm not.
Yeah. So there's
given everything that's going on.
he has a cut right down his cheek. He has one under his lip, and then another one like across his lip, like across his cheek.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the same cut as the one on the chin.
Yeah, and then he has like a bunch of blood on his head, like he fucking busted.
Just like along the hairline.
Like he busted his head open. Which considering what's happened to him, yeah, no, that's a reasonable thing. And Bruce actually has a much more pronounced jaw in this. I don't know if he lost.
I definitely noticed it.
I think he definitely lost all the baby fat from the first film, because he has.
He definitely looked closer to Ash later on in Evil Dead than at the beginning of the movie.
Exactly, he loses a lot of the cheek fat. And
which I think works well for that movie.
Yes, exactly, and it's a great because he looks physically aged.
He looks chiseled in this one as opposed to I don't want to say average. I can't think of a good adjective.
He's got baby fat.
Yeah,
he's got just baby fat on his cheeks.
He just looks fresher in the first movie.
Yes. He's fresh meat after all. Is there anything that you didn't like about the film? It's very hard to say.
I don't like that they had to cut out the Cheryl subplot from the first movie.
Okay, yeah.
I don't like that they had to abridge the first movie in the way that they did.
It's completely understandable why they did.
Yeah, yeah. Like I understand like the abridged, and I like bits of the abridged part too.
Right.
It's nice to have a little recap. It's almost like a little bit like a comic book kind of. Mm-hmm. Where you get a little recap of what's happened so far.
That's fair.
It would have been interesting to see had they gotten the rights to the first movie
that whole comic book comparison actually does kind of work, because I have read some comics that will recap past issues and completely gloss over
like important details
to just like, hey, here's the story so far.
Yeah, here's
as far as you need to be aware.
Yeah, for this movie, you just need to be aware that he has a girlfriend. They went to a cabin. Shit went bad. But as far as the rest of the series go, you can't skip the first movie if you're gonna follow this through all the way to what is eventually the end of Ash versus the Evil Dead, because they do reference all three films, events from all three films.
I was explaining this to a friend the day before we were watching Evil Dead 2 as a group. I was explaining just how fucked up the whole rights situation was. They lost the rights to the first movie because New Line Cinema's greedy bastards. And then they did the second one, and they did it under a different production company, the Dino De Laurentiis production company, and then through the one that I referenced earlier. And then the third movie was distributed by Paramount.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the second movie is the one that they retained the rights from the get-go.
Yes, that's the one that Sam Raimi.
They eventually got the rights back for the first one.
Yes,
as far as I know.
And eventually they had to negotiate with Paramount just to be able to reference the third movie.
Yes,
which is a crazy detail, because the third movie's extremely important in the narrative. Mm-hmm. You may not think it, but. I mean, the second movie, personally, is probably the most important for the narrative, because it sets... Because Ash loses his hand.
I mean, like, if you wanted the most condensed version of this, just watch 2 and 3.
Yes. Basically.
You don't need to watch the first one, but...
The first one is still really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. It's because there's a super condensed version of all three films, which is like 3 hours long or whatever, and it's interesting when you watch the whole transition from this is a horror movie to oh, this is a horror movie, but there's some funny bits in it too. Oh no, we're just taking the piss. Nah, dog, we're just taking the piss on this.
Spoiler for Army of Darkness, it doesn't take itself very seriously.
Nor should it.
Nor should it. And it should have been Bruce Campbell's breakout movie, and for some reason it never was. For whatever reason.
And yet he still pops up from time to time in other random stuff, which I greatly appreciate.
So what about you? Was there any flaws you have with this movie?
Gee. Honestly, I don't think there's very many. I don't think there's many technical flaws. Obviously, being able to see that it's a soundstage or whatever, that's pretty negligible.
Oh yeah, it's very easy to see like the strings on everything that's holding this movie together. But the movie is so just entertaining that you don't. Yeah,
it's really. Who cares? It's really just negligible. All of it is really negligible.
That's my opinion when it comes to Tokusatsu. It's like, yes, you can see that it's fake, but it's not trying to sell you the illusion that this is really happening.
Right.
It's just trying to tell an interesting story.
Yes, exactly.
It's not trying to get you to suspend your disbelief. It's trying to entertain you.
In fact, it's kind of a way of it saying, like, yeah, this is slapstick. It's not really horror.
You don't have to worry about any of this actually happening to you. Don't worry. It's just a movie.
Yeah.
What I actually wonder if they had, a slightly... I guess I would have liked the other characters to be fleshed out more, but that's not really a requirement. They really did not need to be fleshed out, but it would have been nice to give them a bit more to work with.
I think Annie and Ed could have used some more fleshing out. But
yeah. But they do, all the new characters do manage to convince me that they're characters who just kind of stumbled into a really bizarre situation and don't know what to do. And Ash is there to be like, yeah, no, I've been through this. I have experience with this.
Even a scene of them...
Even if it's only 24 hours worth of experience.
Right. It's more than you've had.
Even a scene of Ed and Annie, just discussing the book, its properties, and maybe even expressing doubt that,
We should have looked and seen if there was any deleted scenes on the
Blu-ray. Oh, yeah. Probably. But it might have given us a little more insight into the characters if they were talking actually about the book.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it's not a requirement, because a scene like that probably would have taken away from the...
Right, and they do a good enough job of just briefly recapping it at the beginning.
Yeah, I think the film is very nicely paced. I think that the cutaways to the other characters prior to them arriving at the cabin does a good job of breaking up the action a bit.
Right,
giving the audience a bit of time to breathe.
There's a philosophy in storytelling that's called quiet time. For every piece of it, and it's why a lot of action movies nowadays just I feel like they're fucking on ADHD. It's always action, 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 action. No cuts, no quiet time. You get nothing. It's all action. That's all you get. And when you're telling a narrative story, you need quiet time to have the audience process what's happened.
Well, especially if you're trying to do a horror movie.
And especially in a horror movie. And I think
which is weird, because this would be counteractive to a comedy.
Yes, exactly. But here it works very well because the breakaway scenes are so funny.
Yes.
So it works because it goes from a horror scene to a mildly comedic scene to sort of break up the action a little bit and give the audience time to breathe. And a lot of movies, action movies, and even some horror movies nowadays forget that they're supposed to be quiet time. I think the biggest offender of the last 30 years is Seven. There is no quiet time whatsoever in that film.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in forever. I think you brought that up last time.
I did bring that up last time, I think. So,
And I think there is less quiet time in this movie than there is in the first movie.
Yes.
Which, I mean, that makes sense because this has got more of a comedy bent. So you got to keep the pacing up a little faster paced way. But I think there's a decent amount of quiet time.
Yes.
I mean, like the shots that we were talking about near the beginning of the movie where Ashes hit the tree, he's in the puddle, and it's pretty much quiet time from there on out, aside from him getting out of the puddle.
Yeah. And that's just the first 20 minutes of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the pacing on this is extremely tight. It's really good pacing.
Considering they had to redo the whole first movie, yeah, it's masterfully paced.
And the special effects, this is a masterwork of practical effects.
At least for its time.
For its time. In 1987, yeah. Because I'm trying to think, what else came out in 1987? I think...
when did The Thing come out?
The Thing came out 82.
Okay.
So which is the same year as Evil Dead 1.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting
in that The Thing definitely has, like, higher quality special effects, but I don't know how to describe what I'm thinking. It's almost like Evil Dead gets by on its like heart and soul, whereas The Thing gets by on its sheer like gumption that they can pull this off and do it convincingly so.
Oh yeah, and considering some of the other movies that came out at the time, Hellraiser came out in 87, Nightmare 3 came out in 87, Prince of Darkness came out in 1987. Interesting. Bad Taste came out in 87. I haven't seen that movie in a long while.
Yeah, we got to get on that.
Monster Squad.
I haven't seen that movie since we were kids. Since we were the target demographic.
Yeah.
Right.
I still I want to see that again.
All I remember is Wolfman's Got Nads.
Wolfman's Got Nards. Yeah, in comparison to some of those other movies, I'd say Evil Dead 2 is probably the best out of all of them. Nightmare 3 might give it a run for its money.
Did you say Hellraiser was this year?
Hellraiser was this year.
I would say Hellraiser's got better special effects.
As a total package, though?
I mean, I'll infinitely watch Evil Dead 2 over Hellraiser any day.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, special effects were great in this movie, but as a total package, as a whole movie.
Oh, yeah, as a whole movie, this one's really, really hard.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2 or Nightmare 3 might be tops, but I still think Evil Dead 2 is the better film. Because Nightmare 3 tries to be funny at times, and it's like, no.
It's certainly a step up from Nightmare 2. That's a topic for another episode.
I think most things are a step up from Nightmare 2.
Right.
Not that Nightmare 2 is terrible, but like just bizarre.
The Lost Boys also came out that year. Interesting. Salem's Lot. Okay, never mind. So what would you rate the Evil Dead?
Oh God, it's got to be an 11 out of 10. This movie breaks the scale for me every time.
It's like this and Evil Dead 1 are like two movies that you could watch forever.
You know, I always used to like waffle between which one was my favorite between the three films, and it was like, I really like that the first one's like a true horror movie, and I like that the third one's like the third one. Without getting into like too much discussion about that.
Yes.
But like it wasn't until
I think
maybe it's like a decade after watching all three of them that I was like, yeah, no, 2 is the one that seems that has held up the best over time.
I think I get what you mean, because the first one has the best scares in the series, and Army of Darkness has the best quotes.
It's got the best quotes and like the best slapstick. Although this comes pretty close. I don't know. I don't even know if it has the best slapstick. Actually, I'm still starting to think that like maybe the third one's the worst one, which is an incredible thing to say about a movie I love so much.
Yes, right. But I think
I just love this series so much. Like it is up there with like the first 2 Alien films for me, as far as like how much I cannot like find faults in it.
That's true. At some point, we got to do Alien.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know if you'd be down to do it.
I would love to do Aliens. Yeah, that'd be great. If you guys want to
See-
do 3, though,
No,
4.
no.
Those would be the first times I'd be seeing those because I have intentionally avoided watching them because you know what? I don't have to watch bad movies that are part of a series that I already enjoy. I don't have to like ruin that for me.
See, I'm more partial. I actually prefer Alien 1 over Aliens. Aliens is I don't know what it is about Aliens. It's just not my thing, I guess.
It's an anti-action movie, basically.
It gleans too much into action for my taste.
It's like Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. You know what?
They're both fucking fantastic, but
You know
for
what?
entirely different reasons.
You know what? Maybe that explains it. That explains it. Because I'm not a big fan of 4. I'm not a... No. Dude, I've said this for years. I'm not a huge fan of Resident Evil 4. This guy doesn't get it. Right?
No, I totally understand because like it's an entirely different thing.
Because I think Resident Evil 4 is a great game. It's a fantastic game. It's a 9, you know, like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10 for me, the original 4. But, like, because I grew up playing Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Those were the 3 that I played the most. That's the ones I grew up on. I know he loves 4. And I know because I always say 3 is probably the best of the original trilogy, and he's always like, "No way, bro! What the fuck are you on?"
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, 2 or 1, bro. Either that or DS.
I've yet to actually play the remake of 4.
I heard it's good. I hear it's good.
I hear it's good. I hear it's good too.
And it's why, a little side tangent, it's why Resident Evil 3 remake is so fucking disappointing to me.
Yeah, I can understand everybody's disappointment.
I
still like it, but
I love Resident Evil.
It doesn't hold a candle with the original.
No. I love Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. It is, from a gameplay-wise, it's the best out of the series.
See, what I would have liked out of Resident Evil 3 was, like, the remake.
Yes.
Was because Resident Evil 3 original felt really condensed and short. It almost felt like it was like DLC for 2, if that would have been a concept back in the day.
But it had mercenaries.
Oh yeah. I mean, so did 2 had Extreme Battle.
Speaking of mercenaries mode is unlocked on the Dreamcast.
But it feels like 3 has like less going. The 3 remake has less going for it.
Yes, because there's a lot of
When I would have wanted like 3 original to be expanded upon, instead it condensed it.
The thing about 3 remake is that it has a lot of interesting ideas. I like Mikhail. I'm not a big fan of Carlos's look, but that's because I'm just used to old Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos is weird. You can unlock his original
I know
outfit,
you can
which
unlock.
is fine, and that's my preferred.
Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of interesting ideas. I like Nemesis's second form in the game, but it just you don't get the clock tower.
You get the clock tower, and then you immediately walk away from the clock tower.
Yeah, you don't get the full clock tower. You don't even get Raccoon City Park.
We're on a tangent. We're on a huge tangent.
You get uptown and you get downtown and you get the power plant that is in the original game, but in the original game the power plant is like a room and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's a whole ass puzzle.
See, and that's what I like, because like they expanded upon that part of the game and then dropped like entire sections of the rest of the game.
They've got the Drain Deimos there, but they don't have the Brain Suckers.
Yeah.
And it's so dumb. They got rid of some of my favorite enemies. They added liquors. That's cool.
Well, maybe we can discuss that more in the Resident Evil 3 episode.
Sure. Oh God, I'm not revealing Resident Evil 3.
Hey, that's an idea.
Do I have to do Extinction?
Which one's Extinction?
The third one. There's Resident Evil Apocalypse, and Resident Evil Extinction.
Oh, okay, the movies. Gotcha,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was like, that sounds familiar, but I don't remember what that game is.
I don't know. Dude, the Resident Evil movies suck. Alright?
Yeah, they do.
They suck.
They eventually lean into that, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, Evil Dead 2.
So, recommendations.
Well, first off, I kind of want to get this movie an 8 or a 9 out of 10, but I feel it would be bad to not give it a 10.
You're not allowed to score this movie. We've already left that conversation.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10.
We jumped on the bus and left you behind while you were tying your shoes.
I thought
I'm not even wearing shoes.
he got McClaimed. Oof.
So yeah, 10 out of 10 or 8 out of 10? What's...
I want to give it a 10 out of 10 because I can't really justify having it any lower.
Yeah, it's
one of those movies where it has to be universally loved. Anybody who dislikes it,
I don't want to be friends with anybody who doesn't think this movie's at least entertaining.
Yeah.
At least interesting.
How could you not like this movie? It's one of those movies where it's like, how could you not like it? Like, if you're not a horror fan, okay, that's justifiable. But, like, you don't have to look at it as a horror movie. It's a comedy.
I got another tangent here, but, like, Cabin in the Woods. It's a movie that's very, very much playing on the tropes that these movies introduce.
Yes.
And, like, I recommend it to everybody. That's going to be my recommendation. I'm going to recommend Cabin in the Woods. But, like, I've had a few friends who I've recommended it to, they've watched it, and they just didn't get it. They didn't understand the appeal of it. And it's like, well, I guess we can't be friends anymore. Like, I don't understand. Like, I hold that same opinion with that movie that I do with this movie. That's
right.
Like, if you don't find this at least interesting, like, we have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. Cabin in the Woods is a very good movie.
I have not seen it, but the premise at least sounds interesting.
It is a very good deconstruction
of this type of film.
Yes.
And horror movies in general. While still maintaining, like, a horror atmosphere that rivals everything else. Like, all the best horror movies.
Exactly. What's your recommendation?
Come back to me. I'm still thinking.
I'll come back to you. Shit. Tell you what, so it is the 25th anniversary since the airing of The Sopranos. So I'm gonna recommend The Sopranos. I don't know if either of you have watched.
Nope.
No.
I am not terribly familiar with it outside of its pop culture osmosis shit.
I have gotten. I pretty much know everything that happens in the series, but I never fully sat down and watched The Sopranos. Like, because everybody's always like, oh, The Sopranos, it's like one of the best shows of all time, you know?
That's what I hear.
And it opened the door for shows of its kind, like Dexter and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and all of these anti-hero shows.
Sons of Anarchy is another one.
Sons of Anarchy and all that. Or maybe Orange is the New Black, too. I'm not sure.
Well, that's kind of a weird one because that was Netflix exclusive.
Right.
It wasn't really on TV.
But it opened the door for a lot of these shows to, if not have anti-heroes as your main characters, but then outright have villains as your main characters. Full on unabashed villains. And the Sopranos, for those of you who don't know, in case you're way too young to remember it, when it was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I remember it being a cultural phenomenon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It is a show centered around the Soprano family. Their patriarch, Tony Soprano, being a mob boss. Not at the beginning of the series. He actually starts out as like a captain, which is like a third in the rung of the social hierarchy of the mob. But he is a member of the New Jersey mob, and the movie is centered around his life, essentially.
Wait, they made a movie?
Sorry, the Many Saints of Newark. Yes, it is a prequel movie.
Okay.
Yep. The Sopranos is centered around his life as a mob boss, and it is pretty dark, pretty bleak. Tony Soprano is not a nice guy, as you can imagine, being a member of the mob. But yeah, no, I'm about 3 seasons in. It's really, really good. Honestly, I like season 1 the most. Season 3 is kind of a fucking drag. But it is one of those movies that popularized the trope of anyone can die, because there's a lot of character deaths in the show, in the series throughout its 6 seasons. And Tony Soprano's a really good character. I really like Paulie Walnuts. He's probably the most popular character in the show, played by Tony Sirico. You guys just don't know anything.
Yeah, my eyes are glazed over.
I know James Gandolfini is dead, and that's a tragedy because he died too soon.
Yes,
yes, he did. He died very tragically way too soon.
I mean, I guess to put it in perspective, like I don't do a whole lot of TV to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare for me to get into a TV show.
And yeah, the making of the show sounded like it was an absolute delight. Like, there were no major problems. Everyone in the cast has nothing but good things to say about it. Everybody loved James Gandolfini. It was unlike a lot of other TV shows where it's like, you know, oh, there was some conflict, or there was some tension backstage, or, you know, they had a lot of problems getting the series picked up. They weren't sure if the series was even gonna be picked up until HBO stepped in and was like, we'll give it its own slot. We're gonna give it its own space on our programming, because it's a really good idea. Not a lot of people have done a series like this where it's just a bunch of unabashedly terrible people.
You know, I do have to complain about that, because now it seems like all of the major stuff that is on like TV and like even creeping into video games with stuff like Red Dead Redemption and The Last of Us, you know, those narrative driven things. It's one of the reasons why I have a hard time latching onto those kinds of stories is because it is all terrible people doing terrible things.
Right.
And it's like, I don't find that interesting. Not interesting. Interesting is not the right word. Like, I find it interesting. I just don't find it, like, appealing.
Yeah. You don't... I know, I totally get it. You don't want to watch terrible people do terrible things.
No, I like watching people do terrible things. Like, I mean, this movie is nothing but terrible things happening to people. Like, that's all horror movies are. It's just more of like these are the characters I'm supposed to be... You're not supposed to, like, root for somebody like James Gandolf or Tony Soprano.
No.
But, like, I also don't find him terribly, like... Compelling, yeah. Like, it's just like, I don't care that you're a mob boss and that you're doing these awful things to people. And granted, I haven't seen the show. I'm just using this as like here's the trope character.
You've seen American Psycho, right?
Oh yes, yes.
There's an interesting video essay written by a YouTuber named Amp Lemon, and the title of the video is American Psychos, and he goes into great analysis into the characters of Patrick Bateman and Tony Soprano, and it really boils down to these guys are victims of their own affluence. You know, Patrick Bateman, he's so affluent and he's a member of such a high society that he's a faceless member of the crowd. Anything terrible he does, no one's gonna notice because no one cares. He's so elite. He suffers from affluence. If he was a member of the working class or a member of the poor, you know, and he committed all these murders, people would be talking about him all the time. But because he's so rich and so affluent that nobody cares. He does these things because he desperately wants to be noticed. Mm-hmm. But because people don't care,
like he's not like the top of the chain type of a character. He's not working class. He's got a cushy job.
Yes.
But he also isn't like, you know, he's not like on the cover of Forbes or something.
Exactly. He is a vice president among a group of vice presidents who don't ever get noticed. You know, they live fine lives. They fine dining, fine women, fine cars, all this and all that.
They're very vanilla.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're nobodies. as far as the public perception is.
Right.
They're yuppies.
That's a good way of putting it.
They got by off the wealth of their parents, and now they live cushy jobs, and they have no direction in life. They're directionless. And Tony Soprano is the opposite of that as far as the affluence goes. He is a new man. He built his wealth by himself off the back of a criminal empire, and now that he's got this wealth, he realizes that it is not, what's the word?
Fulfilling?
It is not fulfilling to him. He doesn't feel fulfilled by having this wealth. But at the same time, he can't enjoy his wealth to the fullest because he's always staring death in the face. He could always be betrayed at any moment and could be killed at any second. He has no time to enjoy his affluence. He is constantly a victim of his own paranoia. And it affects his family and his friends and his work. Being at the top of the criminal food chain ain't fun, which is the point of the entire Sopranos. Tony Soprano is a sociopath, and now that he's at the top of his crew, of the entire family, he is...
There's nowhere else to go but down.
There's
so he has
nowhere
to try
else.
and maintain.
Yes, he has to maintain his position and his authority, and he becomes mired in his own self-hatred and paranoia that he goes from season 1 through 6. Season 1, Tony is very sympathetic because he's not the top dog. He's not at the top. He is steps from being at the top, and he's trying to get to the top. And he's very sympathetic because he's concerned about losing his family, which is why he goes to see a therapist, which is the
That's like the whole conceit of the show, right?
Yes.
He's like talking to his therapist.
He's talking to his therapist, and Dr. Melfi, the therapist, the psychiatrist, is the audience's in to Tony Soprano's perspective on life.
Okay.
And it by season 6, it becomes very clear that Tony has become so mired in his bigotry, his hatred, his self-loathing, and his paranoia that he has become utterly reprehensible. There is no good left in Tony Soprano, which is the entire point of season 6. Season 6 is about Tony's downfall, as it were. And there's the most famous episode, the ending.
Yeah, the
series ending. There's for those who don't know, it's Tony sitting in a diner with his family, and
then it just ends.
And then it just ends. It cuts to black, and that's it. And the fans at the time were fucking pissed. They couldn't believe it. They thought like the power went out on HBO. And so they're like, where's the fucking ending? Is that it? That's it? And David Chase has gone on to say that it doesn't matter what happens. This is the end of the series. Life goes on, and we are not allowed to be privy to what happens after this.
Yep.
It's a very good deconstruction of like, not everybody has a happy ending, and sometimes we're never going to be privy to what happens after.
Yeah, it's very like, here's the antithesis to like, it's very like, it's hard to put into words, But it's like you get to the last page or like the last chapter of a really good book,
yeah,
and somebody's ripped out the last page,
exactly,
the section. But then it turns out that like every single copy of that book shipped that way.
Yes,
which would be an interesting concept.
Yeah, like a comparison
has been done.
Like a comparison for it would be, The Sopranos series finale is. You can compare it to Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, which is the last episode of MASH, which itself is like a television movie. Mm-hmm. Every character gets closure. Everybody gets closure in that ending, in that series finale. Everybody gets to go home. Everybody gets to, sort of...
It's the thing that people are expecting from the end of the series.
Yes. And it's,
it's in direct contrast with how The Sopranos ends by design.
Exactly. In The Sopranos, you never get closure for any character unless they're dead. You know, like Tony Soprano's never going to get any closure. Paulie's never going to get any closure. The only one who ever gets closure is Christopher Moltisanti, who's there for all 6 seasons until he dies. And only he and like a couple of other characters actually make it to season 6. Half the cast in The Sopranos fucking dies.
I mean, that sounds like any other HBO show nowadays.
Yes, well, yeah.
Looking at you, Game of Thrones.
Yes, Game of Thrones is very much a victim of that. I feel like the last season of Game of Thrones was very much, hey, let's try to do what The Sopranos did and kill off half the cast at the end. And it's like, that's not how it works. You're forgetting what made it work in The Sopranos. What made it work in The Sopranos is that's the lifestyle, and there was already an all-out war that was declared.
Well, like the problem between those two is that like Sopranos, they knew they were going to do this in the end. Whereas Game of Thrones is like, well, they're not writing the last book anytime soon, so I guess we gotta punt.
George R. R. Martin, why aren't you writing the last book?
Because I'm making a video game.
I'm making a VeeJay game. Leave me alone. Write your own ending.
I'm learning to code in Python. They're making me do this by myself.
Yeah. I don't even. I'm so used to C++. God damn it.
Oh, Jesus.
All these if and ors. So that's The Sopranos. Highly recommend it.
Okay. What about you?
I
ready
would
to circle back to you yet?
I'm going to go in the complete opposite direction and recommend Dr. Slump.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes,
Good
of
choice,
course. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama.
Yes, I've mentioned this a few times on a couple channels that yes, Akira Toriyama recently passed away. He's most famous for Dragon Ball, but before Dragon Ball, he was known for a comedy series called Dr. Slump, which is basically about this robot girl named Arale who is insanely strong, and nobody in her community outside of her own creator knows that she's a robot. Hijinks ensues.
Yes.
And isn't it?
She's also extremely naive.
She is extremely naive, but also the entire world is absolutely absurd.
I mean, it kind of sounds... Yeah, and it's like...
Isn't this the one with the guy that looks like Superman, but when he's flying around, he's just like on a skateboard?
Yes!
Oh my god.
He's the self-proclaimed hero of justice, who is more likely to be the one to throw the grenade to blow up your building if you disagree with that statement.
Yeah. He's Peacemaker.
Damn!
Modern Peacemaker.
I don't care how many women and children I have to murder in order to get peace.
Yes, it's absolutely absurd. It's full of fun characters. It's just absolutely bonkers. There's no deeper meaning to anything. Just have fun.
It's just silliness.
Incarnate.
Yeah.
And it was popular enough that when Toriyama decided he wanted to finish it, he wanted to go out on his own terms, and this company that Shueisha didn't want him to finish, so he's like, okay, but if I do another one, I'm going to do it my way. It's going to be what I want to do, and that's how we got Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one would argue that became even more successful than Dr. Slump, and Dr. Slump was incredibly successful.
At least in the West, it certainly became more successful.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Or I shouldn't say in the West. That has more of a worldwide appeal.
Right.
Whereas Dr. Slump was mostly localized in Japan.
Yes.
But it was what got him enough clout to make Dragon Ball, which popularized anime in the broader world.
I was going to say, Akira Toriyama, I would say, belongs on the Mount Rushmore of mangaka or animators.
Absolutely.
And I had a list of his.
Well, definitely Tezuka would be on there too, right?
Shatari Shinamori, for sure.
Well,
I mean,
here was...
I mean, if you've got a world record and you've been dead for decades...
I was saying the four that I would have would be Akira Toriyama, Osamu Tezuka, Hayao Miyazaki, and Satoshi Kon.
That's a good list. I can respect that.
I still think Shotaro Shinomori,
Right,
just for the fact that he can hold a record and still be dead.
I'm not super versed on all of this stuff, but like did they all do anime and manga, or was it kind of a split between the four of them? Not just I know Toriyama did anime.
I know Miyazaki at least did manga because he wrote
Yes.
Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind as a manga.
I know that was a manga,
animated.
and I don't know about Tezuka though. Was Astro Boy or any of his stuff manga before it was anime?
It was all manga.
Was it? Okay.
It was all manga.
Okay, so I only know it because of its anime adaptations.
Yep, and I know Satoshi Kon. I don't think ever like officially released any manga, but I'm sure he did a couple.
He's certainly made anime.
Yeah,
Yes,
he is one of the premier psychological anime creators.
Yeah, in fact, one of my past recommendations, Paranoia Agent, is one that he did prior to his passing.
You know, I've been meaning to get my hands on that somehow. Did they ever like release it? Oh, you've got it right there. You've got it right there. It's just
Get it out.
Yeah, I can see it. I see it's wedged between those books. Oh man.
And it's sad because Miyazaki is now the last one
I'll
alive.
make Nikki watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason I recommended it.
And then there was what was the other one? Blue. Perfect Blue.
Yeah, that's
Perfect
jeez.
Blue.
That's my favorite of his, and I completely spaced on the name too.
Perfect Blue, Paprika,
Paprika's
Tokyo
really good.
Godfathers.
Haven't seen that one.
See, I think Tokyo Godfathers is his magnum opus.
Really?
In my opinion, at least.
Okay.
I've heard really good things about it.
It
I
is.
have not seen it.
It is.
Neither have I.
It is a really sad and heartwarming film, and it's a Christmas movie. It is a full-on Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas. There's lots of discussions about Christmas, and it's a really heartwarming film.
All right, now that we've gone enough off tangent, let's get back to what we're talking about like a half hour ago.
Right. What was that?
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. Right.
So
I think Code Veronica is the best in the series.
you shut your fucking horn mouth. Ain't nobody believe that shit. I don't believe.
You're right. I'm just messing with you. It's dead aim.
I will accept that answer.
Fuck you.
So Evil Dead 2. So everyone's gathered at the cabin.
They've just locked Henrietta's corpse in the cellar.
And who knows how long they'll survive? Well, we kind of know how long it'll survive because pretty much immediately after that he turns.
He turns and tries to bite Sue Bob.
Sue Bob.
I don't remember Sue Joe.
Bobby Joe.
Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe's hair off.
So Ash is actually, Ash may be missing a hand and everything, but, the group sort of defers to him as, the de facto leader because he's been here the longest now.
Yeah.
It's like he's seen the most shit.
And he's explaining, this shit comes in the fucking night. We have to wait till morning in order to get out of here, and then we can fucking leave. But ain't nobody fucking leaving here until morning.
It's out in the fucking woods.
So
Something about the woods.
here's something I just realized. It was we were talking about any flaws in this movie. They don't really flesh out the fact that going out into the woods is a bad idea in this movie.
They mention that it's a bad idea.
Well, yeah, but they don't ever show it. At least not until later.
Right.
I mean, at least in the first film, you had the whole Cheryl thing happen, and that's okay, and Scotty too to a
lesser extent, though we never actually see what happens to him.
Right.
It's
so
all
we know,
implied.
So we know from that movie that going out into the woods is worse than staying in the cabin.
Yeah.
But in this movie, that's just completely glossed over until later.
I mean, granted, Ash did get flung through the forest quite far.
Well, yeah, but
And the trees were attacking him the entire time.
were they attacking him?
At least Sam Raimi was attacking Bruce Campbell with a branch.
Oh, yeah. Yes, fair enough. I don't know. I just feel like that reasoning, that logic is just completely glossed over in this film.
Well, there's also the fact that the bridge has been torn up, and the path that the new group came in from is just gone.
Yes.
It's nowhere to be found. It's nothing's there.
So fair enough there. I mean, that would be your first sign is if the path that you came in on is not there anymore.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty bad. But it's also still the dead of night, and visibility is low.
That is fair, but
Yeah, we do see what happens out in the woods
it's not
later on, and it's
well, the movie is actually kind of full of all of these interstitial shots of like trees, like living trees.
Yes.
Like just kind of shambling around the woods.
it's really good.
So I guess as the audience, you would know that like, oh yeah, going out there would be a bad idea. You don't want to mess with those trees.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to mess with a tree.
Dude,
fucking ents.
Dude, I was facing off against a territorial oak the other day, and it fucking self-destructed on me. It fucking burned up and killed me. Dude!
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you're recovered.
Yeah, well, all I had to go do was go to the hospital.
Okay.
Pay a fee and I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
You sure you didn't just have to talk to the light?
I had to talk to my dad.
You had to talk to your dad, and you had to talk to the light and say you wanted to continue.
I needed to.
You said the tree killed you.
The tree.
I refuse to believe it. I believe that it had the intent to kill you, but didn't actually do it because it died before it happened.
It knocked me out. It knocked me out, I suppose.
Okay.
And then I woke up at home, and then I was like, well, fuck, I'm about 40 miles from where I was.
Since we're already on tangents, I'm in the middle of a playthrough of that, so that's just topical. That's topical for me. Just got poo. And I'm going to leave that there, because I just got poo. We're moving on.
But yeah,
if you know, you know.
Yeah, even later on in the movie, even Jake he's looking outside because he's like, hey, Baba Joe, you remember that trail we were on getting in here? Well, it's plumb not there anymore. It's like the woods came and swallowed them up.
You make him sound like way more dignified than he sounds. You do. It's like, oh, this motherfucking Colonel Sanders over here.
Well, I do declare them woods just came and ate up all
Yeah, no, Jake is more cleanest than Colonel Sanders.
I do declare that them trees came and ate up that trail. Like y'all should be eating my fine Kentucky Fried Chicken. Finger licking good, I do declare. But yeah,
Ash just holds up his stump.
I need to step out for a second.
Oh, we broke the podcast.
Wouldn't be the first time. Shit, I'm actually trying to remember the last time I had to get up and leave. It's so goddamn funny.
Alright, so we're back in. Henrietta's in the cellar. The team, Evil Dead attacks.
Yeah,
I wonder if that was a pun. I wonder if they did that intentionally. I just realized that now. Evil Ed, Evil Dead.
So yeah,
Not that he's ever actually referred to that in the film.
In the credits, he is.
So what causes Ed to become Evil Ed is he got knocked out and he's lying down on the couch and everything, and Ash is sort of explaining everything, and Bobby Joe and Jake, they just want to get the fuck out of there, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, we should just leave right now. And Ash was like, no, nobody's fucking leaving this goddamn cabin until morning. God damn it. He's very, emphatic about this. And then Henrietta starts singing,
Hush, little baby,
don't you cry.
Which Annie recognized because it was her mom.
Yeah. And it's and the Henrietta is like, and she's got both eyes for this scene for some reason.
No. For the rest of the scene, I see. Yeah, the actual
the actual actress.
The actual actress playing Henrietta,
not Ted Raimi in a
suit.
In a fat suit.
Yeah.
Yep. And she's like, come let me out, please. I'm good. I'm okay.
I'm all better now.
I'm all better now, Ash. And Annie goes to open up the cellar, and Ash grabs her and just shakes his head because he's already seen this trick before. Especially if you've seen the first movie.
Right.
It makes way more sense.
Yep.
It's like, no.
No.
Another thing that the movie just kind of glosses over, but I mean, yeah, he had the whole Linda thing happen. So.
Yep. And so he's just like...
So he had seen that exact thing going on.
Yes,
Except his girlfriend's head was in a vice.
Yes.
And so...
There's no, like, feasible way that she'd actually be okay. Whereas in this situation, it's like, okay, maybe.
No!
Maybe. Which is really interesting for later on in the movie, and we'll get to that in a bit. But, yeah, so Annie is like, that's not my mother. That thing in the cellar ain't my mother. And then Evil Ed just sort of pops up. He's like, ha!
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Boogie boogie. We are the things that were and shall be again. Dead by dawn.
Great effects.
Great effect. And he's floating up and he's like slowly tilting sideways and everything.
Tries to bite Bobby Joe's hair off.
Dude, he comes in,
I mean, he succeeds at
he comes in like a fucking rocket. He's got his hands up and he's got like his lips like shrunk so it's
like got 2 sets of teeth.
He's all teeth in this scene. And he comes in, chews on Bobby Joe's hair, and
which is a lot creepier in context.
And Jake comes up to him and he's like, "You fastest son of a bitch!" And it's great because they do the Exorcist thing where he just spins his head around and then the rest of his body comes too. And then he grabs Jake by the neck and fucking throws him up.
Oh, yes!
And Jake, he's flying up head first, and then he crashes into like a light bulb and then comes down.
Yep.
He gets fucking brutalized in this film. So bad.
I forgot about that. That's... Duh.
And Henrietta's like, "Let me out! Let me out!" And he goes to try to let Henrietta out, and then Ash is like, oh God, and he runs out of the room, and Annie's like, "You fucking coward! What the fuck's the matter with you?" Ash comes back with an axe, and he's like, "All right, go time, bitch!" Ah!
Chops it to pieces with green blood.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a scene. There was a deleted scene. There was supposed to be a scene where it's like in Evil Dead 1, where it's the aftermath.
Where we see all the pieces on the floor.
All the pieces
that
on the
is
floor.
not present in the version that we watched.
And there's a dummy head of Evil Ed, and you can see like his brain cavity, but it's just like a little golf ball sized brain with
with webbing all around it.
Yeah,
which is funny.
Yep.
And so,
which is weird also because he doesn't come across as like stupid or anything.
And so Ash finishes killing Evil Ed, and there's a great shot where Ash is rising up after having killing it, Annie's right behind him, and then Bobby Joe and Jake come in from behind,
and they're all just like huddled together.
They're
like,
all huddled together, and Ash is just like, oh, fuck.
Oh, and this is the part where they do all the coordinated noises and
so right after that,
they keep hearing noises and everybody's turning in the direction to see the thing.
Yeah, right after that is where Jake references that the trail is gone now, right? And Ash is like, "Okay, well, we just sit here and do nothing, all right? Nobody does anything."
And then the door across the room opens up.
Yep. And it's a great, and it's another great scene where it's just a bunch of noise. It's a soundscape of noise and camera distortion and everything. And
it's really hard to describe, but like it's so like masterfully shot
and
creatively shot.
And the reason, and after all that, Jake's like, "What the hell was that?" And Ash, he posits, well, it sounds like something from another universe was trying to break into our world. And the door, the door to one of the bedrooms creaks open, and it's like a lightning. It's like the Terminator effect, where it's all static and shit.
Yeah.
And it's light and everything, and
I love how like Ash is like, "We'll all go in together."
Hell no, you ain't.
You're a curious one.
You're a curious one. It's funny how like Jake is smart but also stupid at the same time. He's like, "Hell no, we're just staying here."
I thought you said we should do nothing.
Yeah. So Ash and Annie go in, and they're like, "There's nothing here." And then there's a great scare because Bobby, Joe, and Jake fucking break through the doorway, and they're like, "Ha! See? I told you there weren't nothing."
Yup.
And then the ghost of Annie's dad shows up and is like, "Hey, you know those pages you found? Use the spell in those to defeat the evil. Okay, peace out."
Peace out.
Save my soul!
Oh yeah, do that too. Peace out.
Baby, you're holding my hand too tight. I ain't holding your hand, huh?
And here's the return of the evil hand.
The evil hand, yeah. Jake and Bobby Joe. It's just a shot of them too. And he's like, "Babe, you're holding my hand too tight." And Jake has like this confused look on him. He's like, "Baby, I ain't holding your hand."
And it pans down.
And it pans down. Like Jake and Annie, or Ash and Annie, they both look down and they're like, "What the fuck?" And it's Ash's hand, and it's the return of Ash's hand, who's been missing for a while. Yep. Perfect time to return.
And she freaks out and makes
She fucking breaks for it. She breaks the lamp.
well, she makes Annie drop the lamp.
Yep, which shuts it off, and she immediately runs out of the cabin to her death.
Yeah, because the trees get her.
The trees got her.
We don't know what exactly happens, but it certainly ain't good.
From what I read, it sounded like there's two theories as to what happened. She was either eaten by the trees, which sounds fucking horrible, honestly, or she was slammed against the tree, like swung up and slammed.
Yeah.
But it does mean that for the first time in the Evil Dead series, a person dies and doesn't come back as a Deadite.
Yes, she never comes back. Actually,
And also is technically killed off screen.
yeah,
Sort of.
sort of.
So is that how you don't turn
There's-
into a Deadite? You get
there's
killed
a-
off screen?
There's a fucking gnarly special effect where as she's getting dragged, there's like tree vines that fucking go into her face.
Did you say Ash? You mean
Sorry,
you said
Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe. So something different happens to Ash later. No, we'll get there. But yeah, Bobby Joe either gets devoured by a tree, slammed into a tree, or turned into a tree. That's the three theories. Because Jake is looking outside, and there's this weird distorted shot of like a tree, just a regular tree, that's like distorted, and there's like a fan theory that that's Bobby Joe transformed into a tree. It's a weird theory.
that feels like it would be out of tone with the rest of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, so it's never explained what precisely happens to her. All we know is she's dead. There's no way she ain't coming back from that.
Yeah, my theory is that she just got exploded when she hit the tree.
Yeah.
She just went...
Blood and guts everywhere.
Presumably.
Because we see the tree that she's about to hit, and we
Yeah.
know the trees have mouths, and this one didn't look like it had a mouth.
Yeah.
So I think she just went...
Oh yeah, trees have mouths in this movie.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Occasionally. There's like 2 trees that do.
Yeah.
So Jake is looking outside. She's like, "Where's Bobby Joe? Where's Bobby Joe?" And Ash, not intentionally being callous or anything, but just
matter of factly.
you can forget about her. She's dead. Jake can't accept that answer. He's just like, "No, you're wrong. No, I don't believe you." While Annie and Ash, they're like,
They
"Right."
smash open the case containing the pages from the Necronomicon.
And it's a great transition. It's a great transition from as Bobby
Oh yeah,
Joe's,
as Bobby Joe's hitting the tree, you see them dropping the glass covered case.
the
with
glass case and
shattering.
the glass shattered.
So at the moment that
I know that that's meant to be a good transition, but there's no reason they needed to do that.
yeah, well,
They
yeah.
clearly had hinges. They could just open it up.
Well, Ash only has one hand. He couldn't open it.
well, it's okay.
Amy has 2.
She's not going to get her hands dirty.
She's already handled the pages. How much dirtier can she get?
She's not opening shit. That's for the help.
Anyways, they're pulling out the pages and they're reading them and they're like, all right, well, there's 2 passages. There's one.
There are 2 passages that I found that are relevant to our current situation.
There's also a scene, a little bit of foreshadowing.
Some dude with looks like a fry pan for a hand and a stick being praised by a bunch of knights or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this crude stick figure, and Ash is just like, well, what's that one about? And he's like, oh, that's like the hero of time or something. He pulled the Master Sword out of the temple and
fell out of the sky as a result.
He's a hero who fell out of the sky and saved the people from the Deadites. And Ash is like, "Oh, it sucks to be that guy."
Yes, it does, Ash. Yes, it does.
And so there's two spells that they basically spells. Two
that
passages.
they need to use. One to manifest the evil into a physical form, and a second to open up a wormhole in space-time.
But unfortunately, they before they can start working on that.
Well, Annie starts reading the spell to manifest the evil, and then Jake is like, "Fuck this!" grabs the papers and shoves them down into the cellar because they're going out to find Bobby Joe.
I thought she started reading afterwards.
Yeah, she starts reading them after.
Yeah, she starts reading them later.
They're talking about the plan, and then Jake grabs a shotgun, and Ash is like, "What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?"
He grabs the papers, shoves them down in the cellar. "We're going out to find Bobby Joe."
Yeah, he goes, "Bunch of mumbo jumbo shit," and it's like, dude,
have you been here this entire night?
Where were you when all this shit was happening? Did that blow to your head that you took from the light bulb screw you up even more?
And this is what I mean.
And deleted the last brain cell he had.
This is what I mean by Jake. Like, he has self-preservation skills, but he's also super selfish.
Yeah.
He's extremely selfish. And he does this, and he's fucking stupid. He could have just held on to them. We're not doing this until we find Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
No, he throws them down into the cellar with the one thing that's trying to keep them from the pages.
Yeah. Exactly. He's an idiot.
Yep. Bad decision, guy.
And it's the decision that ultimately does him in. But, but so he drags them outside, and Ash is like pleading with him. He's like, "No, you fucking idiot! She's dead. Stop this. Let's just go back inside, please, for the love of God."
Heck, and even if she's not dead, even if there's a chance that she's still alive, it would still be more useful for them to conduct the ritual before it does get to her, and then she'd be fine. Like,
yeah.
right? Like, that's the logic
That's
I'd be
not
following.
That's not the logic he's following, though.
Nope. And it's great, because Ash tries to fight for the shotgun, and then Jake knocks him out. So Ash is unconscious now. Mm-hmm. And it's a great scene because he's screaming out Bobby Joe's name, and there's no response. And there's finally that moment where he screams out her name one last time, and he's looking around, and then he has this look on his face where he's like, "Oh, I done fucked up. We need to leave." Oh, God.
So he books it.
No, he doesn't book it. He's backing up, right? And then Evil Ash shows up. He just pops up. And picks up Jake and fucking throws him head first into a tree. So he's knocked
There's a lot of people, like, flying into trees in this movie. I'm starting to realize.
I wonder if this movie has an anti-tree agenda.
Damn.
Considering what trees did in the last movie, maybe.
Damn, I didn't know Sam Raimi was in the logging industry.
It's in the pocket of big lumber.
So,
or would it be the opposite of big lumber? Because big lumber would be cutting down the trees, and he wants the trees to fight back. I don't know.
Who knows? Who's to say?
I'm pretty sure he's advocating that the trees be cut down before they turn.
Because they're evil. They're evil trees.
That's it. Okay.
So Annie
turning the public against him.
Yeah. So Annie books it back into the cabin, and I feel like we've seen these scenes before.
Yeah. It's almost as if, gosh, it's almost as if we've seen this before. Where?
Anyway,
right.
She picks up a knife that just has now shown up.
Yeah.
Which is like a carved ritual dagger with like a spinal cord for a blade.
It was sitting next to the Necronomicon.
Was it though? Because I don't remember seeing it.
It was. At the beginning of the movie, Ash is like holding it when he's listening to the tape.
It's the knife from the first movie.
It's the Kandarian dagger.
Yeah, the Kandarian dagger, so to say. But yeah, so this this is all directly lifted from Within the Woods.
Yeah, like
Almost-
the next like maybe 20 minutes or so is just a shot-for-shot remake of Within the Woods.
Except for
the climax of Within the Woods.
Yes, yes, the climax.
Except for like a couple of key details here
Yes.
and there. But yeah, so Ash is outside the cabin. He's trying to get in, and he wanders off, and then Annie grabs the dagger, right? And she hears somebody trying to get into the cabin. And as soon as the door opens, she fucking swings for the fences with that dagger.
And stabs Jake right in the stomach.
Right in the
right in the chest, actually.
Right beneath the
Just
ribs.
fucking impales him.
And he goes, "Oh fuck!
The fuck?
What the fuck, dude? Get this knife out of me!"
And so she's like, "Ah, shit, I fucked up." And then who's right behind Jake?
Yeah, yes. And here's the scene from Within the Woods where it's like,
Join us.
join
And
us.
he's trying to close the door, but Jake is like there, like his whole midsection is blocking the way. It's
And
like,
he
come
just,
on!
"Ah, damn it! Ah, fuck!"
Except he's still alive, unlike Scotty from Within the Woods, who
Yeah.
was for sure dead.
He was dying.
But
Yeah, drags her in, and then it's his feet blocking it. And he's like, "Fuck! God damn it! Stop! Get this dagger out of me!" And yeah, they finally get the door closed and everything. Ash tries to gets his hands in and stuff. And so now it's Annie and Jake. And Jake is...
Did you just say Ash tries to get his hands in?
Gets that,
It's insensitive, you know. He's only got one hand.
yeah, man. Did
Thanks.
you not see the Farewell to Arms gag?
Thanks.
Come on.
Yeah, whatever.
Insensitive jerk. You're canceled. You're canceled again.
Canceled again.
Damn.
Damn.
At least I'm not J.K. Rowling.
Well, maybe you should be.
Fuck you. That's a little too far.
That's too much. That's it. We're canceling you.
Oh, okay.
You are reverse canceled.
So it's
Reverse canceled.
So it's
Now you gotta do this entire thing all the time.
Oh, shit.
So now it's Annie and Jake, and yeah, Jake is basically mortally wounded, but not dead yet. And they do the stupid thing by pulling the dagger out. Mm-hmm. No blood, which is weird. Must have hit a couple of vital organs.
You must have missed a couple of vital organs.
Missed him, yeah. And Annie drags Jake into the main room.
Uh-huh.
And
then
tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so she drags him out to near the couch, where the couch is, right? And this is probably one of Annie's stupid decisions. If she had left him, this is like we're gonna talk about it in just a second, but like if Annie had left Jake by the doorway, he probably would have lived through this entire thing.
I don't know if he would have lived, but he...
What
happens next to him wouldn't have happened.
Yes. I mean, yeah, he maybe he survives, and like if everything went okay, he could have gotten medical help.
Yes.
They could have
In
dragged.
the best case scenario, he wouldn't well,
Yeah. The best case scenario, yeah, like the medium case scenario is he just dies, he expires. The best case scenario is he manages to live because they miss a couple of vital organs.
Unfortunately, he got the bad ending on his playthrough.
because Annie drags him and puts him right next to the trap door.
So, here's the thing about Jake is he was trying to speed run this game, you know, and he took the bad decision, unfortunately.
Took the risky decision of trying to break into the house.
Yes, instead of knocking. And Henrietta, and this is another one of my favorite scenes, just because of just how fucking batshit insane it is. And he's like, check the windows, and then Henrietta fucking pops out from the fucking the cellar, the trap door, and he immediately
mindfully, she's still locked in there. She can't get out.
She can't get out.
She can certainly get her arms out and, you know, potentially grab Jake and pull him down into the cellar with her.
And yep. Yep. And so Jake's got it. Like, Jake's weakened because he's already suffering from a stab wound.
He's already been impaled once today.
He's been impaled once. He's probably suffering from a concussion.
Might even have a pierced lung.
And so he's in no position to be able to defend himself. So Henrietta just pops up, fucking grabs his head, and starts dragging him into the cellar. Mm-hmm. And Annie is like, oh God! Oh no! Oh fuck! And Jake's like, help me, please! Not this way!
Annie, not this way, indeed. So Annie tries to grab him, grabs his legs, and unfortunately...
He gets fucking eviscerated.
That's a nice way of putting blood everywhere.
And you can hear, like, yeah, that's the thing.
He gets thrown in a reverse wood chipper.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Everything that goes in comes out the same way it came.
It is a fucking geyser of blood, and Annie's getting fucking all of it poured on her and everything. And you can still hear Jake kind of screaming, begging for help, it sounds like she's like fucking just sawing him apart. It's like what would happen if somebody got thrown into a wood chipper.
A reverse wood chipper.
And
an inverted wood chipper. I don't know what the term was.
And Annie eventually like can't hold on to him anymore, and his legs just go sliding in. Mind you, you don't see any of this on screen. All you see is the fucking blood geyser,
which flowing everywhere,
which leaves a lot to the imagination.
And for as much as they show, it leaves a lot to the imagination.
And there is an alternate scene of this. I was actually saying this, the other day. There's an alternate scene to this for like the Mexican censored theaters and movie, everything where it's Jake gets grabbed and he's pulled in, but there's no blood geyser. It's just Annie fucking struggling to hold on to him, and he eventually gets pulled in, and the cellar door is slightly ajar, and it just slams shut.
Interesting.
And it's
I'd like to see that version of it.
And it's just her reacting to it like, oh my God, what happened? Oh no!
On the topic of edits to movies for foreign markets, apparently in Brazil, when they were showing the original Star Wars trilogy in like the early 2000s, they had the brilliant idea of just kind of editing the commercials into the movie. So like when Obi-Wan goes to his chest to get Anakin's old lightsaber for Luke, he instead reaches for a Cerveza Cristal! Cervezas Cristal!
Wow! Yeah, there's a bunch of deleted scenes actually in the movie. There's one where Ash tries to burn the book. So they're out there.
Okay, I am interested in looking at them because I've never, despite my love for this movie, I've never gone and searched that stuff out.
Right. So yeah, Jake is dead.
Yep.
Poor guy did not deserve this.
And he's just like,
and it's still one of the best things to happen to a person in one of these movies.
Yeah.
Because at least they're no longer a living dead.
Exactly.
So Annie's upset that she just watched this happen, and before she can like really come down from it, there's Ash behind her.
Yep, Evil Ash is in here.
And he beats the crap out of her, and he's ready to kill her, and then
he sees the magnifying glass pendant.
And he sees the pendant on the ground again, and he's like, oh no, what have I done? And he reverts back to regular form. Not that Annie's fooled, because
it's not like the first time this has happened.
He looks at the necklace, and it's that moment where Ash finally regains control and like fully beats Evil Ash. This is the first of many defeats for Evil Ash.
Yes.
Who is a character.
But Ash does manage to convince Annie that yes, he's fine now.
Yeah, he goes.
Though Annie does a good retort. For how long?
Right. Exactly.
I love how he's like, he calms her down. He's like, I'm fine. And then he goes to like rest up against the wall, and the next shot is her swinging the axe at him because she doesn't believe him.
And he's like, I'm fine, okay? Do you see me? Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I'm fine. For how long, though? And Ash does have this look where he's like,
Good point.
good point. Let's just beat this evil, all right?
Let's do the ritual, shall we? Well, first we need the pages back.
Fuck! And then we get the final transformation, as it were.
But not before Ash goes down into the basement and
No,
Slender the 8 pages.
We're building up to that because you're skipping one of the best parts.
Okay.
Yeah, the final transformation, as it were.
They decide to do a little prep work before they go down there. So they go out to the shed, and there's this wonderful montage. Rocky would be proud.
Admittedly, all this is kind of going on. It's kind of a blur to forget one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah, here's the thing about Ash is he's a fucking savant when he puts his effort into something. He knows engineering, he knows circuitry, he knows chemistry.
Yep.
Dude is smart as fuck, but he never gets the chance to ever put his stuff into practice.
Until now!
Yes. Until this movie, the next movie, and the Ash vs. Evil Dead series.
Mostly because all of these ideas are too crazy to work, and he's just that amount of crazy now.
Crazy? You think I'm crazy?
Yeah.
I'll show you crazy. Watch this. I have a chainsaw for a hand now.
So yeah, Ash has a chainsaw for a hand now, and it just got 1,000% better.
And he makes a sawed-off double-barreled shotgun.
Yeah, he cuts the barrel off the shotgun.
And we get the most iconic line of Ash.
Groovy.
Just one word. That's all you need. Mm. And it defines his character for the rest of the series.
Yes.
Yep.
Because this is Ash fully embracing the madness.
Yep.
And he's like, this is dumb, this is stupid, but god damn it, we're gonna fight some fucking undead.
This is Ash becoming the Slayer.
And he goes in the basement.
And then it becomes Slender the 8 pages.
Yep. There's a great scene where Jake's corpse, skeleton. It's a skeleton. It's not a corpse.
Yeah, it's not a corpse anymore. There's not enough meat on it.
There's no meat left on the bones.
Only a little bit of blood.
Look at the bones.
Run away!
Run away! Ash fucking revs up the chainsaw on it, and it's like, oh, it's just Jake. Oh, he's dead. Oh, huh. Okay. Moving on, because he's got no time to... Ash doesn't give a fuck. Ash fully doesn't give a fuck about people dying, right? Except for the one.
Not anymore, he doesn't.
Not anymore. Death is just a consequence.
It's like, at this point, it's more tragic to still be alive.
Mm-hmm. He's begging for death. Which is kind of his whole character arc from now on. He becomes... what he becomes.
He's not going to let anything kill him, but he probably would be better off, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He would prefer to just die of natural causes.
Anyways.
So he grabs the pages and he tosses them up to Annie, and he's like...
Curiously, there's no sign of Henrietta.
No Henrietta whatsoever. And Ash is just like, hurry up and fucking read those pages already.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, god damn it, God.
And this is where she starts reading the passages.
Yes. And Henrietta pops out from behind. It's a fucking amazing slapstick scene.
He's working his way back up the stairs.
And Henrietta shows up from under the fucking ladder, grabs him by his feet, and
pulls him through the stairs.
And knocks him down. And so it's Ash like, oh, timber! like he's fucking Bear Hugger from Punch-Out.
Yes, because he's walking backwards up the stairs because he's expecting Henrietta to come from literally any other direction.
Yep. And so he's knocked down, and then, like the Three Stooges, he's dragged in through the ladder, or through the steps. Mm-hmm. And there's slapstick noise. Where it's Henrietta fucking beating on him. You don't see it exactly, but it's like, oh, god damn it, oh, god damn it. And then he gets thrown through the steps.
Mm-hmm. And then Henrietta decides to make her way upstairs.
Yep.
Because they had to cut open, because Jake had the key. Jake had the key to the fucking cellar door, so they had to cut the cellar door open with the chainsaw.
And punch through it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they got back down there. But now there's no lid.
So now Henrietta is attacking Annie. And if you look very carefully, you can see that the suit is just fully cracked now.
In the back, especially in the ass area.
In the crotch area.
It's like, I didn't even need to look at it very well to see that. It's like, yep, nope, I saw that.
Yeah, they were like, shit, the suit broke.
Keep rolling.
Keep rolling, it's the only suit we got.
And here's Ted Raimi in his underwear.
Yeah. And so Ash climbs up.
Too hot to wear any other clothes.
Ash climbs up and he whistles. This is fully Ash Slayer mode. Mm-hmm. This is slashy ashy.
Ashy slashy.
Ashy slashy, yes. And he's just like, let's go, bitch. And they get into a pretty great fight. They're beating on each other. There's a great visual where Ash fucking punches Henrietta, knocks her down with like a double axe handle, and Henrietta hulks up.
Like literally hulks up.
You, brother!
It was like the partially transformed face she had earlier, but now with the rest of the body.
Yeah, she goes long-necked and starts making monkey noises. And,
which is a weird decision.
That
is a decision that they made.
That is a decision. And then Annie starts singing the lullaby, and it distracts Henrietta just enough for Ash to cut her head off. And it's just Henrietta's head, right? And she's like, "Hey, I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul."
Swallow this, and he takes the shotgun and
boom,
and
it explodes.
And then the forest starts closing in on the cabin.
Yes. Yes. And so
because I don't know if we explained it, but the ritual is a 2-step ritual. Step 1, summon the Eldritch being into the physical realm.
Yes.
Step 2, open a portal to send it somewhere else.
Yes.
So they've got the first part down. Oh shit!
Yeah, and so Ash is like, read it!
Like a huge fucking face starts coming in through the front door.
Which I think is, might be the demons that possessed them, you know?
I don't know, it's...
Because we see some of the characters' faces coming out of it.
Yeah, because you see Ash's face in it.
Mm-hmm. We win, yeah, and it's gloating its victory.
Oh, there's this great scene when it first busts through the door, and you get the shot on Ash, and it's like, and his hair starts turning white on the side, and there's like a potted plant that has somehow survived all of this sitting next to him, and it just wilts.
Yeah. Yeah, Ash is scared shitless by it. This is like the one time in the series, you know, outside of the first movie, where Ash is finally like, oh fuck, I'm in way too deep.
I bit off way more than I could chew. And I wasn't even trying to take a bite.
Yeah, because in the beginning of the film, Ash is like, oh fuck, like he's scared and shit, but like it doesn't feel like he's like in danger, you know.
But then a giant tree trunk hand grabs him and drags him towards a giant mouth.
And Annie's reading the passage, and then it's like, oh no! And she turns to the side, and there's Ash's hand with the dagger in her, and it's like, how?
How did it get the leverage?
And so Annie drops. She's not dead. She barely manages to start reading the passage, but she reads the first half of the passage, which opens up the portal, and then she dies before she can read the passage that closes it.
Oh, fuck!
Yep. And so the demon is gloating, like one of the voices like, we win, we did it. And then the portal opens up, and it gets sucked through, so does the tree. And then it's quiet. It's all quiet, right? And it's just like,
it's finally over.
It's finally over. And then the portal opens up again. He's like, oh no!
And so then he gets sucked in.
So Ash and the car and everything gets sucked in, and he gets zipped through time and space. And I will say, if you have epilepsy, probably turn your head.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do some quick but definitely noticeable flashing light sequences.
I wonder if those were edited at all in the re-releases.
Yeah,
You would think they'd had to have been this day and age.
Maybe. I'm not sure. But either that or it's changed to like a speed. It's sped down.
Yeah.
Changed to a speed where it won't.
Didn't seem like it was sped down, to be honest.
Well, yeah, because this DVD was from like 2000 whatever.
Blu-ray, actually.
Who cares? Nobody likes Blu-ray. It's a dying medium.
Anyways,
It's like it's gonna go the way of HD DVDs.
it's gonna go the way it's streaming.
No, you got it.
Stop working and nothing
Yeah.
will work.
Yeah. So Ash
Physical media forever.
Anyways,
Ash gets pulled through the portal,
let's finish this.
and he's falling from the air, falling from the sky, as it were, and he lands, and so does the car, and everything.
And then a bunch of knights show up
In medieval
to take
garb.
him into custody.
I'm not going to say anything about the dress up of the knights because it's very weird. There's way too many people wearing plate armor. It'd mostly be chainmail. I'm just saying. It'd mostly be chainmail or leather armor.
Oh, this guy over here be history buff, apparently.
Go fuck yourself.
Oh, jeez.
God, why you have to ruin my fantasy horror comedy? God damn it.
Because
you're
you're a bitch.
But yeah,
That's fair.
The knights are accosting him. They think he's a demon because he just fell from the sky along with his beast, his car.
And then a deadite shows up, and everybody scrambles except for Ash.
I don't know if it's a deadite, but it's definitely a winged demon.
No, they call it a
Oh,
deadite.
that's right, they do. That's how we learn their name.
That's how we.
That is the first time it's actually uttered.
But yeah, so the deadite shows up, flying through the air. Everybody scrambles except for Ash, who just pulls out the shotgun and shoots its head off.
And the knights are like, they're shambling back, but they're like keeping their distance and everything. And then one of the knights goes, "Hail, it is he from the sky who will save us from the Deadites." And there's this moment where Ash realizes, oh,
He's the prophecy.
oh God, I'm the prophecy.
I was
No!
And that's how your movie ends.
Which is a great setup for the sequel, despite the sequel not having that.
Well, to be fair, this sequel didn't have the original either, so
Yeah.
it remade and pre-made both the prequel and the sequel.
Well, the Army of Darkness will have the conceit of it's from the perspective of Ash having already survived the events of Army of Darkness, recounting his tale.
Yes.
Right?
So spoiler, I guess he lives.
So it's a what the word? It's an unreliable narrator, so to speak.
Potentially, yes. Although, given all the shit that happens to him in Army of Darkness, I wouldn't say he's unreliable at all.
Yeah. He gets a new hit. I mean, that's not much of a spoiler.
Well, yeah.
So that being said, Evil Dead 2, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
11 out of 10, like I said
11
before.
out of 10. Yeah.
Like I said, I felt like I wanted to give it an 8 or a 9, but I can't justify it not being lower than a 10, to be honest. Because it is such a really fun movie.
It is such a good movie.
Like, I won't claim that it's one of my favorites, but goddamn, does it do everything really well?
Did it live up to the hype?
Yes.
Yeah.
More so than The Thing did. Though, to be fair, The Thing, you saw, like, through pop cultural osmosis, saw some of the best parts, so the rest of it just kind of falls a bit flat by comparison. But there was so much about Evil Dead 2 that I hadn't seen and didn't know that I needed to see.
Yes.
That when I did finally watch it, I was like, yes, no, I get the hype. I get the hype. I understand it.
I would put it in a list of 100 movies you need to see.
Oh, for sure.
Just generally speaking, 100 movies that you need to see. Evil Dead 2 would be on there. You don't even need to see Evil Dead 1 or Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 2, you need to see.
Evil Dead 2 is the peak. It is.
It is the absolute peak.
It's perfectly standalone, even though it ends on like this weird cliffhanger.
Yes.
Again, despite being the middle part of a trilogy, it does enough to allow it to stand up on its own by, again, remaking the original into a brief period, and then also basically summarizing what's going to happen in the next movie.
Exactly. It has the perfect setup for a sequel, and I think the sequel does very well on its own merits too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, but like this is the best out of the series. If you look at it, Evil Dead, The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, and Evil Dead Rise, I would say Evil Dead 2 is the best.
Hands down.
And some. Rise is very good, and so is regular Evil Dead remake.
As an aside, check out the behind-the-scenes special that was at the very least included on the Blu-ray.
Yes.
Because it has some fantastic anecdotes from the cast and crew who had been working on the special effects crew.
One of whom is Greg Nicotero,
whose name I keep hearing.
he's basically Tom Savini's heir apparent.
That's probably why I keep hearing his name.
He was his protege, and eventually has gone on to have a very illustrious career of his own. He did Day of the Dead under Tom Savini. He did Evil Dead 2, and he is now most famous for doing all of the makeup in The Walking Dead, the TV show. The various TV shows. He's carved out a very successful career on his own.
Good,
yes.
Because he
earns it.
Yeah, he earns it. And
even just them mentioning some bigger names who just name drop Evil Dead 2 as an inspiration for them.
Yes, exactly. And there's the mega short. There's the mega short Evil Dead baby.
Oh, it's absolutely jank, but so absolutely hilarious.
It is a fucking Herbert West Reanimator reference.
Which is so funny because eventually those two worlds would cross together in the comics.
Yes. But Evil Dead 1, made Sam Raimi, I would say Evil Dead 1 put Sam Raimi in the public conscious.
It put his name out there, but Evil Dead 2 put his name on the map.
Yes, I would say Evil Dead 2 made him a very popular director going forward.
Yeah.
Because after this, he would do Army of Darkness. He would do the 3 Spider-Man movies, which were very popular for the time. Spider-Man 3, not so much.
Darkman, Drag Me to Hell.
Yup.
Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, the new Doctor Strange, which is worth watching if you've seen any of the Evil Dead movies. Because there's a lot of throwbacks to Evil Dead in that movie.
Nice. I'll have to check it out sometime.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's highly recommended. I highly recommend Evil Dead 2. I cannot recommend it enough. If I could recommend it every podcast, I would.
As would I.
So with that said, any final thoughts that we...
This is always one of those films that I struggle to decide between when somebody asks me, what's your favorite movie? Mm-hmm. It's always this one. It's always one of the 2 Alien movies, and Shaun of the Dead would be the other one.
Right. For me, I think it's in my top 10. I mean, Phenomena's always going to be my favorite, just because of how batshit insane it is. And I already have, and it's already pre-established.
Oh
I love.
My god! Can you imagine a Sam Raimi remake of Phenomena?
Oh my god! With Dario Argento supervising. 70s Argento, not 2000s Argento. No, thank you. I've seen some of those movies. I love Argento. He's one of my favorite directors, but I don't know what the fuck happened after Opera. Not Phantom of the Opera, just Opera. But, yeah, like, my top 5 is always, like, it's always, like, Phenomena, Dawn of the Dead, 78, original Dawn of the Dead. That one's always one of my favorites. One of these days, we've got to do that series.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot to talk about with that series, too.
Yeah, count me in.
Evil Dead 2, The Thing, and then, you know, the odd one out, which is Star Trek 2, which we talked at 2.5 hours about, almost, because I love that movie so much. It is, to me, the perfect Star Trek movie. But,
you and just about everybody else, given how quoted it tends to be.
it's such a good movie. You need to watch Star Trek 2.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's a sequel to Star Trek.
Oh, that's the one with Luke Skywalker, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And the
Howard the Duck.
It's got
Luke
Luke.
Skywalker and Howard the Duck.
I was gonna say what the hang on a sec, it's coming to me.
It's got Luke Skywalker, Howard the Duck, Gandalf, and Dumbledore.
And I keep wanting to say Klingons, but that is Star Trek. What am I thinking of? I'm
The Daleks?
no, not the Daleks. It'll
The Cybermen.
make sense when I say
Or
it.
is it Cybermen?
Both.
Yeah.
Just keep talking. I'll blurt it out when it comes to me. Cylons! The Cylons!
Yeah.
It's on with the Cylons, right?
So you were close to Cybermen.
Yeah. But, like, Evil Dead 2 has a very special place in my heart. As it does the VeeJay, too.
Love that movie.
It's one of those seminal films that you watch growing up. And I used to watch the shit out of it when I was in high school. I'd be in class, and every so often I'd be like, I'm gonna watch Evil Dead 2. I don't give a fuck about this class. And I'd just be watching it in the middle of class. Nobody would fucking notice. How much I wish people would notice this movie.
Are you watching Evil Dead?
No, they wouldn't know what the fuck it is. My class was a bunch of ingrates. They wouldn't know good horror if it bit them. They were always like, yeah, man, you know, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so scary. And I'm like, it is. But watch Evil Dead. Come on.
I will say this for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was scarier the second plus time I watched it.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I distinctly remember laughing my ass off at the end.
I was actually talking with ProtoMet after we watched Evil Dead 2. I was like, you know, we gotta watch the first 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yeah, for sure.
First one's great, and the second one's just a great parody.
I have never actually seen Texas 2, so...
Neither
Oh
have I,
my
so
God,
that'll be fun for us when we
Oh
get
my
to that.
god, it's so dumb, but so funny.
I've always wanted to, I've just never really had the opportunity.
Right.
It's the one. It's the one that the Angry Video Game Nerd parodies. Yep. Which is why which is why Leatherface does this, because he does the overhead shake. Because he does that in Evil Dead, not Evil Dead. He does that in Texas too. Too many good horror movies. I'm sorry. 70s and 80s was a great time for horror.
You know, at some point we got to talk about something other than horror, but not for now.
12
For now,
Let's just revel in it.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men.
maybe.
See, that's also that would also be in my list of 100 movies you need to see. 12 Angry Men, because it's such a good movie. But yeah, Evil Dead 2 is really good, and it's a shame that Bruce Campbell never became a fucking megastar. He had the look, he had the charisma, he had the facial acting, he had the voice, he had everything afforded to him to become a fucking major Hollywood star, and it just never materialized.
I recall fairly recently seeing him in a Hallmark Christmas movie and just wondering what the hell happened to get him to that point. Because he's better than those kind of movies. No offense to those kind of movies, but those are clearly the place where actors who are desperate in need for money go.
Our dad would be watching them in June.
Yeah.
And it's like, on one hand, I feel bad. He's retired, so like he's afforded the right to do that. But at the same time, it's like he couldn't watch anything else.
He loves those stuff,
he,
though.
he loves that stuff. He watches Cheaters too.
It's weird.
No, well, it's like a flip switched when he retired, and now he's got all this free time that he doesn't know what to do with. Mm-hmm. At some point, we got to take him out. We got.
Well, he watched.
Well, like with like a gun? No, Jesus Christ!
Goddamn, man!
At some point, like me and our youngest brother, short stuff, as we call him. Mm-hmm. We've been.
I don't call him that, but go ahead.
Well, his alias for now. We've been talking to him about, taking our dad on vacation because it seems like he really needs something to do because he's got nothing going on and
Yeah, he keeps somewhat busy. But
he keeps busy with other stuff and watching the doggo.
Pupper dog.
The pupper dog. Loves that pup.
Speaking of which, we should probably wrap this up because I gotta go check on her.
Oh,
fine. Jeez, Louise. Yeah, I think we're almost breaking the record. I think Phenomena is the longest one, though.
I can't recall offhand, but that's because my memory is shit.
You are shit.
So that's why they've been making that sound all day.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, god damn it.
All right, should we call it?
All right.
Do you have any final thoughts on Evil Dead 2?
No, not on the movie.
Not on the movie.
Nothing that wasn't already said in the last 2.5 hours.
Right. Well, with that said, we'll be checking out. Next one should be eventually. At the rate we do these podcasts, it'll be in 2027.
Jesus.
So we'll see you next time.
All right, read Dr. Slump.